All right. A little early there. Sorry about that. Hello. I was trying to rearrange certain
Oh,
things, and apparently
mark your
clicks it.
technical difficulty, bingo card.
Yes. An oopsie, as we call it in show business.
Yes, it's a classic.
A classic
word.
oopsie.
Classic terminology. There we go. Terminology. That's the word we're looking for.
So, as promised, before we begin on the whatchamahoos? Why can't I think of the word? Yeah, it really has been PCM.
Such a long wait. I hope
promised-
everyone's got their snacks, drinks, all that good stuff.
Yes, I got eggnog. 'Tis the season. And I'm here to tell you my KLM story, I guess, because I love the KLM
Please
story.
do. I'm so fascinated.
So KLM is an airline that I believe has merged technically with Air France, but they're still their own sort of kind of thing that says KLM. They are, as you learned, based in the Netherlands, and my grandfather worked for KLM for a while. Oh, hello, Dorky David. Welcome.
Dorky David, hi!
So yeah,
one of our official YouTube followers from now on?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a YouTube person.
Very
likes
cool.
to be on the YouTubes. And I don't blame him. But so my grandfather worked for KLM. And now KLM does this thing where to their first class and royal class customers, they would give out gifts. This was very common practice throughout airlines for a very long time, is they would give gifts to these high class, first class and royal class people. But a lot of airlines decided that they realized that people were flying specific airlines specifically for the gifts that they would give out and no other reason, right? Service could be horrible, their level of flights could be whatever, but they would fly solely for the gifts. And so indeed, Turkey David.
I have so many questions about that muscle wizard, but after Ori finishes her story.
So a lot of people, so the airlines sort of banded together and were like, okay, no more gifts. You're not allowed to give gifts. And KLM said, I don't want to stop giving gifts. So they came up with an ingenious method where they made these Delft blue houses. These little houses that are white and blue. And I should probably have started a picture beforehand. Delft blue houses. Let me find
Yeah, because not everyone has seen them.
Yeah. Open image. They look like this. They're all different shapes, but they're this white with the blue. That's the Delft blue. And as you can see, their chimneys have this little bit of wax on them. And this is because that these are not just little houses. These are containers that held gin. So there was alcohol in each one of these containers. There's a little cork underneath this wax of the chimney, and you would pick off the wax, you would pop the cork, and you would drink the gin. And so KLM was doing this, and people would keep the little houses, because that was the point. And they started out and they made 25 different houses.
Oh,
and
wow.
These houses are based off of actual houses that line the streets of Amsterdam. And so they're like actual
really
buildings.
Creative.
And they would continue to sort of add a bunch of them, just adding houses here and there whenever they felt like it. Certain airlines found out about this, and they tried to get KLM stopped by like the overarching sort of a governing body of the airlines that had decreed that you're not allowed to give gifts. And KLM was like, this is not a gift. This is a cup. And if clients decide to steal the cup, that's not our problem. It happens. People steal your stuff all the time. Other airlines. This is a beverage. And the governing body said, you know what? They're right.
That was
so KLM,
that was some 4D chess right there.
Indeed, continued to hand out these houses as little gin bottles, and they would even hand them out on flights that had custom issues where they couldn't have gin as empty, with a little sticker that would say like empty, for customs. And on their 75th anniversary, they released multiple houses in order to get up to that 75 number. And ever since then, they've released a house on the 10th of October every year with an additional house. They had their 100th anniversary, I believe, was 2020.
Oh.
And so I have 101 houses because I have collected each and every one of them. I don't have this year's yet because I have to order it. And I do have one, unfortunately, broken one that came broken in the mail. But what had happened is that my grandfather, my grandfather would, work on the flights, and then they would give these to him. So he had a ton of collection that my grandmother had, and she didn't, she knew they were KLM houses, but she didn't know this whole story that I just told you about, how they circumvented this rule and everything like that. And I fell in love with them, and so she had a lot of doubles and everything, but we picked out all the specific ones. So that's why we have one of each that lines my whole. I mean, we have more than the shelves allow.
Connections down.
What?
We had the spinning circle for a second.
That might have been you. I look good. Was it? Yeah, I look good.
Okay, because it happened to me on Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah, that might have been your internet.
I think it was me though. No one else was acting like it was funny, so.
Mine looks good.
All right.
No bingo there. No bingo there.
Sorry. No bingo. No bingo.
Yeah. So that is that. I think that was the only story I had to tell, right? I didn't promise any other things.
I don't believe so. It was just the KLM. I was just so fascinated because I have seen those houses.
Yeah.
And I have seen them lying there. I'm like, oh, that's a cute little collectible. I didn't know there was a whole story behind it. I mean, most collections do have stories behind them. But the fact that it was tied to KLM, I just didn't know.
Yeah, my other collection is Nutcrackers, which is a German thing, so.
Oh, the Nutcrackers are so cool, though. They're so freaking cool.
I get myself some after every Christmas now that I have money.
It's just such a... It's such a vibe. Nutcrackers themselves got, that nice vintage look, but they're still coming out, and they're still beautiful. It's the one thing that hasn't really modernized as everything else does. They keep them vintage, and I appreciate that.
Alrighty. Let's talk about names.
Yes.
Shall we? And our special boy names.
Both join in on. Well, naming, it's very similar to consistency. It can go in a ton of directions because guess what? When you create a world from scratch, a town from scratch, a story from scratch, you're going to need to name a lot of things.
Well, maybe we'll help you, PCM. Maybe we'll help you get better at naming, get more ideas
PCM,
for naming.
I want to ask you this. Why do you believe that you suck at names? Because I got to be honest, I quite like Neffy. I think it's a very good name. So why do you believe that you suck at names? I'm curious to hear your take on that.
Mark your bingo cards. For everybody new who hasn't joined yet, make sure to grab your bingo cards here. As
How dare? Well, PCM, I have to give compliments where they're due. It would just go against my character if I didn't.
If you get bingo, you get 1,000 seeds. However, unfortunately, the seeds only work for Twitch. So if you're on YouTube and you get bingo, you just get bragging rights. You know? I mean, I'll give your Twitch person points if you want that.
An exception? Oh, I beg to differ.
So
despite what people say, lightning can strike twice. But if you'd like some inspiration, naming is very interesting because I find there are two groups of people when it comes to naming. You have people who either just choose something that they think sounds cool or a name they really like, and they just kind of go with that. And there is nothing wrong with that method. I'm not going to say any method is wrong. I know for me personally, I prefer a more thought out name, I suppose is the way to describe it. But if you just want to pick something that you vibe with, that's perfectly fine. I mean, go for it. More power to you. It's your story. You can do with what you want. However, I like my names to have meaning behind them. Whether that be a character's name and it alludes to like what kind of person they are, or maybe even what kind of journey they're about to go on, or something along those lines. Or maybe town names and how the town reflects like what is the main
export,
like what export, thank you, that's the word.
Crop. Yeah, I'll give some fun examples. My first D&D campaign ever is I made it all food themed because their goal was to find the legendary ingredients to make the legendary banana bread, which would give you ultimate power
Food Wars
and everything. I like food things, right? So all that sort of stuff. And so every single town was named after a food, but it's not named after a food. Like I didn't call the town with the banana town or something. I called it Nain, and it's called Nain from the word plantain. And so that's how we got Nain. The mayor's name was Cavendish because Cavendish is a variety of banana, etc., etc. There's a town called Trina something, and I'm sorry, no, it was called Durham, like your town, Mars.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yes, because it was named after wheat. And
very nice.
And
actually, I think
Griffin,
you did help me create the name for Durham.
Yeah.
When it came time for our campaign.
And Griffin Emmer, who is my first ever original character, his last name, Emmer, is also a kind of wheat because he came from that town, right? And that was a big part of his storyline and everything. So there's like a milk town, so that it had words like leche and you know, and all that sort of stuff. So I used, you know, other languages words for those sort of things. You know, varieties of the plant was the big one, but also scientific names is a very big way to go as well. That's how I name all of my characters nowadays, is I pick a plant that I feel represents them in some way, and I name them after the plant. And this came about because I learned of the type of maple that's called the, I think it's called the woodland maple. And its name is, you know, common names suck. I hate them, so don't quote me on that. But the scientific name is Acer campestre. And I just thought that was such a cool, like, name, right? Like,
I mean, Acer has a ring to it.
I love the name Acer. And Acer campestre is just, you know, so I named a character that for a one-shot. And I just loved it so much, I've never gone back, right? So all of my characters since that character have been named after
really
these
hasn't. But, you know, you can see for good reason. Sometimes you just find a vibe like scientific names for plants and just run with it.
But they're also not... So Acer campestre is an outlier in the sense that it's exactly the name, like the scientific name one for one is the name of the character. But certain things like Avicia germain is from the mangrove, one of the types of mangroves scientific name. However, Avicia germain is not the mangrove scientific name, right? Like I looked up the mangrove scientific name, and then I took sort of bits and pieces from that and made Avicia germain.
It is so funny to me that you mentioned that one of them is just their name exact, and then the others are variations of scientific names, because that is literally the route we went with Outcast as well.
And that's the reason why, right?
Which is
because
so funny to me.
I love that.
You meant that's like history repeated.
Yeah, no. Because sometimes it works out, right? No. That was intentional.
Sometimes it works out because sometimes you come across a name and it just works. I remember. Okay, for those of you who have not seen Infinity Train, go watch it. It's incredible. But I remember seeing a post from one of the creators where they were asked, how do you choose the name for your character? And they said, if the name can be said regularly and can be screamed dramatically, you have picked a good name. So that's why they picked, like, for season 2, the example they used was Jessie, because they could very easily envision another character worriedly screaming Jessie.
I love Jessie so much.
I think the name they used in comparison was I think it was Norman or something like that. Well, to compare and contrast. So then they said something like, sorry to all the Normans of the world. It was contrasted with Jamie. It's definitely one method you could use for sure. I know I definitely want my characters' names to be screamed and shouted as dramatically as possible. But when it came to the character names, we definitely went the scientific route, because our whole story is based on the Exalium and the idea that there is this subgroup of human-animal hybrids. So we're like, okay, well, we can't just call Milano Cayman. Like, it's just not gonna fit, and it's a little too on the nose. So
a good example
Ori,
is...
you definitely know the taxonomy a lot better than I do. If you'd like to jump in and help here, because I don't want to mess anything up here.
So a good example is there are certain animal names, like the names of the animal that allow you to just be a thing, right? Hold on. And allow you to just have that be their name. And usually it's animals that most people don't know about, right? Like when you think about it.
The rare animal.
One of
the
my
one people have never heard
favorite examples is there's an animal called a gharial. Okay? And they're really cool.
That as a name.
And I like it a lot. It gives you very like angelic vibes, right? Like gharial, all that sort of stuff. But that is actually what we call the animals. And it's a crocodilian, so it's closely related to the caiman and the crocodile and the alligator and everything like that. But that is not its scientific name, even though, it has to do with it. But that's its, like, common name. I can see naming a character Gharial, right? I did name a character Gharial originally, and then I changed it, not for this, for D&D, because, again, this is, like, my go-to naming scheme, because I think it's really fun. Excuse me, I think it's really fun. I
think she's having a lot of fun.
But so we looked up the caimans. There's a bunch of different caimans. The biggest caiman is the black caiman, and that is what Milano is specifically based off of, the black caiman.
Because we wanted something big and powerful and commanding.
And he's very large. But the genus for the black caiman is Melanosuchus. And so we took part of that because Suchus, no thanks. But Milano,
not even as a middle name.
Milano is what we liked, we enjoyed.
Milano
so we took that
rolled
first start.
Very easily off the tongue. The best test I have found for choosing a character name is if you can say it as though you're introducing yourself as the character and it doesn't sound awkward, you found a good name. If it doesn't roll off the tongue, if it doesn't flow in the casual dialogue, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Similarly, so the fossa, which is what Ferox is, their species name is Ferox, Ferox. And so that's how we
we had played around with a lot.
Because there was a bunch of different options, right? So Cryptoprocta is their genus name. So like there, Crypto, is there, Proct, there's like a lot of words you could do in there. Exactly, PCM. That's their pixie name, right? Yeah. So Ferox, we didn't like that exactly how it is, but we got to Ferex and we liked that. And then you could joke about FedEx and all that sort of stuff. So that was him. And so similarly, like the species of albatross that Aster is named after has his name in it. Browed albatross. I have to look them all up because I don't know them exactly the way.
Yeah.
But
because they are scientific names, and this isn't something people have memorized off the top of their heads. But it's kind of cool
I'm a
for
tree
readers.
scientific name person, not a.
Well, what makes this interesting for readers, and this is not something you have to do, but I think you all know me by this point. I am a layers person. I love my layers. I love my hidden meanings. I love my lore videos.
Well,
so
that's...
when I have a name... Oh, I'm sorry, Ori.
Oh, no. All I was going to say is then it sort of juxtaposes how Avrit and Barnet are named. Right? Is that so all of the callers, even Olus, right? Olus is after the walrus, taxonomy.
What's very interesting, at least between the human characters and the caller characters, is that the caller names, so their names are based off their scientific name, which is related to the animal we picked for them to best embody what their personality and physical attributes are. Whereas with the human characters, their names are based more off personality traits. And I'm actually trying to find it. In one of our old Discords, we had a whole conversation about Avrit and Barnet.
So
that I am trying to find for the life of me.
If I'm remembering 100% correctly, we specifically chose those names based on their meaning, right? So we literally went baby names, right?
We literally went to babynames.com.
Yeah.
And started looking. I think it was names for strong, tough.
Well, and actually, what was funny is, and this is one of those layers things, is that Barnet's name, if I remember correctly, means something about a bear.
It was something.
Meaning. Oh, no. I'm sorry. It means clearing of the woodland by burning, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes! So, you can also have a name to be foreshadowing as well.
Exactly. I think Avrit's was the one that had a...
I think you're right.
Yeah, Avrit is brave, strong boar, right? So the point was that Avrit had an animal in his name's meaning, but he wasn't specifically named after an animal, right?
That's
so
right.
that was a whole, that was one of the layers we had there. But so we looked up the meanings of names, and that's what we did to sort of name the humans of everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually really fun to look at meaningful names and see here's another way we can tell our story. And it's not in the dialogue, it's not in the foreground, background, it's not in the art, it's in the name. And I find it very interesting that you can do that. And I have to applaud people that try to do it that way, because it's the extra bit of effort,
Do we want to talk about our most recent naming endeavor?
Oh, absolutely, because we went all over the place with that. And I think it's perfect.
You want to tell it? Yeah. Or you want me to tell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I was reading PCM's message.
Oh.
I'm sure you have more names, PCM. You just gotta think of them.
So something that could be fun would be so my most recent TTRPG character is named Lycori. All right? And Lycori is part of the scientific name for the spider lily plant. And the reason I picked
that makes a ton of sense.
The spider lily plant is because the race of my character is specifically Ananadi, which is a spider person. And so that's why I picked this. I literally went, okay, I want the spider lily, because I knew that plant existed. I knew that was a fun little thing. And so then from there I got Lycori. they're...
Oh, I see PCM.
Oh, I see. Sometimes it just comes. Hoten's name's just was easy.
It really does sometimes.
You know, like Acer Campestre, you know, that was a name I had first, right?
I gotta say, if we're talking D&D characters, for Alar, I definitely was going through, like, I think it was like an 1800s name list or something like that.
And also, I don't think there's any shame
for Jolie, I knew right away. I was like, Jolie, I don't know why, but this is the name coming to me, and I love it.
And I don't think there's any shame in, like, using a random, like, a name generator, right?
Oh, not at all.
I have certainly used two of my favorite characters who existed before this sort of plant scientific name scheme, you know, came about. Were named after we're name generators. That's like hibernate.
It really is.
But yeah.
I am getting hibernate vibes.
My first bard character, Kazoo, was me choosing that. I wanted him to be named something kind of funky, like out of a noun, specifically because of like his vibe and that he was kind of weird. But two of my characters, Asen Doratus and Zaleh Shliel, he's again top tier, one of my bards, top 3 bards. We're both random name generated names. So, you know, I don't think there's any shame in doing that if that's how you want to go, right? I think you kind of find your vibe of how you like to name your characters. You know, Dylan likes puns, right? So a lot of his characters will end up being puns of some sort.
Yeah.
Not necessarily his player characters.
What vibe you're going for.
More his NPCs. Hello,
Definitely
Jamie.
the NPCs. Jamie, hey, you made it. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about names tonight.
Yes.
Specifically naming characters, which we are currently discussing. Oh. Yeah, it gets really interesting because you can go in a bunch of different directions with that. Some people do choose to go super meaningful with their names. Other people just pick something that sounds good, and other people are just like, I really like this name and I want to use it. I find there is no shame in using a name generator. I typically like to use it as a launching pad to make another name. Like, just to get some ideas and then build something off of that. Well, places are definitely interesting, PCM, because now you have to think, like, less the personality of the character and, like, what's the personality of the town? What does this name say about this town? If you want to go that route. I'm wondering what qualifies as the weirdest names, Jamie. Hey, that's stars aligning, PCM.
We haven't really named any places, have we, Mars?
We haven't really needed to. At least not yet where the current story stands.
I don't know if we'll ever need to, if I'm being honest.
Honestly, I'm okay with calling the port the port.
But I also don't think, you know, so this is a very interesting conversation we're having right now in the sense of that I don't think the characters care. Or at least Milano doesn't care.
Milano
right?
Definitely does not care. And that's part of his character. He cannot read.
So that's an interesting thing to mention. So there's a lot of interesting flora and fauna on the island. That's kind of the point. It's this weird sort of magical fantasy place within the realm of science, you know, sort of like the Galapagos was to Darwin and everything, you know, like this very weird undiscovered land with all these new crazy creatures and everything.
I would say Galapagos was definitely a little bit of inspiration for us, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and Australia.
Maybe not
you know, New Zealand, but all those sort of, you know, island, honestly, island evolution is very interesting.
Century discovery era.
But of islands specifically, because I will say island evolution is very wild and very interesting. But the point is that is all these new things that don't have names, that don't have anything like that. And so Milano has named them, specifically the things we have, ideas about are very specific food items, right? That Milano has named because Milano was the first person to this island. And he names things very plainly, I guess is the answer, right? Like, you're not gonna have...
It is what it is. Like, he names it exactly what it is.
Now, that's not to say he says, like, big purple blue leaf thing. No, but he'll call something sleeper caps, right? If it looks like it has, like, a sleepy cap head.
A night cap shape.
Yeah, exactly. Or
sunroot. Sunroot was
exactly. Because when you cut it, it looks like a sunburst. So these sort of things. And it grows
in the ground. It's a root.
Exactly.
At least him.
It looks like a root. Yeah, it looks like a root. It's not, it's a tuber, but such is life.
Well, Hodson could tell him that.
Exactly. But so that's the difference.
Milano will be like, what do you mean? Roots grow underground.
There's a creature that is literally specifically designed to be a mixture of a lemur and a frog, okay? And so Hodson gives it a scientific name, Lemurana, which is a combination of the lemur genus and the frog, one of the frog species, but mainly a frog genus. So that's how he names it. We don't have what Milano would call it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Milano literally calls it, tree frog. Fuzzy tree frog, right?
He would totally call it a tree frog because it's got frog legs and it lives in a tree.
Yeah, maybe call it the fuzzy tree frog, right? Or something like that.
That's a variation, fuzzy tree frog.
So, it's definitely like Milano doesn't really care. So I could very much see him,
multiple Hodson characters. Who else has the name Hodson, Jamie?
Who else has the name Hodson? We have to confront these people. How dare they?
Ori, I told you we should have thrown a copyright on that when we had the chance.
We can't copyright it.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
But the name Hodson?
What are the fanfics, though? I'm so curious.
Like, because of how we named the character, I'm very curious.
Because fanfics imply that, there's an official work that exists somewhere.
Yeah, that is very true.
I'm so curious, Jamie. You really have me intrigued here.
You can't just shut up now. It's like a name for dragons?
Oh, for dragons.
So,
is it like a species?
So it's like a
name,
species,
or is it like a name like Toothless?
Like one of the dragons is named Hodson. It's so weird. Is Hodson a dragon? I don't know. Is that art I have to do now?
It's the character's name.
It's the character's name.
Oh, Hodson's a dragon.
Weird.
Have fun, Ori.
Oh my god, that's wild. This is so wild. You gotta link us up, Jamie. You gotta link us up. Who's this person?
I love me some dragons.
Is it Wings of Fire fan fiction? Can I ask that?
Oh,
Can I ask this very important question? Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Wings of Fire, Hodson. Yep, here he is in all his glory.
God. Seriously?
Yeah,
does he look like what I think he's gonna look like?
I don't know what you think he's gonna look like. He looks interesting, though.
Interesting.
He is an adult male rainwing.
A rainwing? Oh, okay. Interesting. They're not.
In How to Train Your Wings of Fire. Wow, so I totally won't say How to Train Your Dragon out of confusion.
That's so wild.
That's crazy. Wow.
It doesn't look like how I expected it to look. That's so weird, though.
You know what?
I wonder why.
Hodson is such a good name. New character, I see.
It's a very new character? Okay.
Jamie, I hope you won't confuse or find it hard to keep the Hodsons in order. Our poor little scared scientist researcher boy and a dragon.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, there's a lot of crossover there, so I can understand the confusion. I tease, but That's really cool. I kind of like it that someone else is using that name.
It's like wild to me.
Yeah, PCM,
it's really
like
weird.
it's that urge that you must check.
I've kind of given up to the point where it's like I don't really care if it's used or not, solely for the fact that like there's only so many
Jamie,
words in the world.
At this point, he's a buccaneer. He just doesn't want to admit it.
You're better off not knowing. That's so funny.
That's fair, PCM. We just have a morbid curiosity.
I haven't looked up anybody's things because the only thing I knew about a Hotsun, like I already
know
knew.
There are multiple Asters out there. There's no
gotta
way
be. That's a very common. I would be surprised about Sinnet and Ferrix. Milano I could see being one. I definitely know there's Averets and Barnets and Damons and you know all that sort of stuff. Like the second you give like any sort of like normally human name, yeah, it's like
you'll definitely be some crossover. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I read the graphic novels, Jamie's, and I would be more than happy to read more graphic novels, but I'm honestly gotten out of the like well, yes, I know about the cookie brand, but it's spelt differently. And I call that a Milano versus a Melano, which is a very subtle difference, but I know John spells it the cookie way every time.
Oh, shall we tell about our recent
our recent naming
escapade?
Yeah. And Jamie, if you want to tell us how you decide. You just picked the weirdest one, I think you were saying? I don't think we got what that meant.
I think the weirdest one for the name name generator. But Jamie, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I'm curious what weird means. Can we get examples? Would Zalashliel be a weird name? I don't know. This is the question.
I think Zalashliel was in the Oh, so you want them to look at your character sheet and be like, "What the? How am I supposed to pronounce that?"
Okay, I need to. What's the word? I need to roast myself, I guess is the word.
Oh, well, by all means, please do.
My first D&D character ever. I cannot say her name, and the reason for this is exactly the roast that I'm going to say. The reason for this is the fact that I wrote it down, and not even I could say it the same way twice. And so it was like every time I read it, I said something different, and everybody else is like, "Can you please can you please just pick away?" And it's like, I don't know.
Adam. So my character Adam. So my character Adim.
Yeah, exactly though. But we're talking. It's like Vixalalia or something. Like it was a randomly generated name, right, for an elf, and it started with a V, and that's all that I remember. And after that, I remember that I could not say it the same way twice, and I got so much shit from my group because of that. And it's like, no, I'm just an idiot.
And this can definitely be a trap with naming. I can actually turn this into a teaching moment. Thank you, Ori.
No, please do. Please take my failings.
No, it's definitely a trap you can fall into, because sometimes what sounds cool is not always pronounceable, nor does it flow off the tongue very easily. Dystopia, YA novels, I am looking at you. I swear to God, they try to think of the hardest to pronounce thing, and you just get to that name, and in your brain you just go, blah, 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 blah. And then the characters you can't even pronounce it, so you just kind of skim over the name. If that happens, or if you have trouble saying the name out loud, I would say you probably didn't pick the best name. Because I think it's kind of a disservice to people who would get into it, who would want to know the characters' names, who would want to talk about said characters, and not know how it's pronounced. So it's like, how can you generate that community unless they can say your character's gosh darn name.
Yeah. I think...
See, it's a talent, Jamie. But I was actually going to get into my favorite example of this.
Yeah.
JKR, Harry Potter series.
I was gonna say that, but I had a different example of an interesting thing when you're done.
I can't wait to hear it, because I would love to have another example to add to this collection.
Well, it's in a different way. It's in a good way.
Oh, okay. All the more for it.
Yeah.
But Hermione.
That's good, Jamie. I can't do that, apparently.
Great character. You know, she's good in the books. Very, very strong character. Nobody knew how to pronounce
Hermione.
her name. Hermione. Hermione. Herminomony. It got to the point that Rowling found this out. And I believe it was in the 4th book, The Goblet of Fire, when they invite all the other
I think yes.
to join. Yep. So she starts dating one
Russian
of the guys from the other schools, the Russian guy. Exactly. I swear that plot point only existed because the guy couldn't pronounce her name.
Yeah.
Because J.K. Rowling had to put in the book an actual pronunciation of Hermione's name because none of the fans could say it.
No one could say it. No one knew how to say it.
See, Jamie, that's how it worked for me because I saw the movies first. But let's imagine for a moment the movies didn't exist and you were growing up at the same time the books came out and you were reading them as the books came out. It was still very hard for people to figure out what the heck they were talking about.
Xylon's good, extreme what guy? Oh, I never thought about the spelling there. Interesting.
See, that's not
that's what you do, Jamie.
A bad name necessarily.
So,
but I feel like if you go that route, it's very hard to work around. Because then you either need a moment where the character's like, this is how my name is pronounced, and you need to spell it out to the audience. That's not always the most natural thing to do. So I gotta be honest, I'm not quite sure how you would work around something like that. And honestly, for most book series, a lot of the times you don't have to. Oh, we got error codes.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Reactive Fuji right now.
Huh. That's
Very
different.
Weird. That's not anything I can really deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can you still hear us, chat?
Yeah, everybody can still hear us. It's literally just our avatars through the thing.
Okay, so we just
Kevlar
got some decorations.
is trademarked, if I remember correctly. But, what was I gonna say?
But, I was just gonna wrap up this thought by saying that doesn't always work against you. Clearly the Harry Potter series found a fan base that eventually were able to pronounce Hermione's name, and it had no effect on the book's popularity or accessibility. Oh, Ori, Jamie hates you for introducing him to no evil.
Oh, why? But that's what I was actually going to talk about. Right, is actually what I was going to talk about was that No Evil did a very interesting thing. And what that was the fact that Betsy Lee knew going in, well, it's fantastic, Jamie. It's worth it.
It's not all your free time, Jamie. It's only 4 to 5 hours.
But interesting. Yeah, Reactive Fuji is currently offline.
Very weird. Okay, enjoy our name tags, guys.
Oh, we might be coming back.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not coming back.
Oh, multiple times. Well, Jamie, multiple times is your own fault.
Oh, I watch it like maybe once a month at very least. At very least. But what was I gonna say?
You were talking about the name.
So No Evil. So Betsy Lee knew going in, I mean, awesome, Jamie, fantastic. New going in, that naming these characters after their actual specific, what's the word? Like gods and indigenous names and, Aztec names and everything would be incredibly difficult for an audience to pronounce, right? There'd be no way. She already knew going in that her voice actors were gonna have trouble, and so she's like on call with them constantly. You can hear it in the bloopers, like telling them how to pronounce it, and they fumble all the time. Now, she knew this, so what she did is she gave every single one of them a nickname, except the easy ones. Right? So Amarok doesn't have a nickname because Amarok's pretty easy to say. That's all noises that Americans make, that's all noises that English users make, right? Amarok is fine. Ichabod, well, that's an easy name to pronounce. Icky is just an easy short name. Again, Paula, that's one you can pronounce. Kazhertalk, it's kind of a weird one. So giving her Kitty just makes it easier to say. And there's actually a reason why she's named Kitty and not like a fox name, but she's a fox, right? Yeah, Chalchiltlikwe, right? Rough to spell, rough to say, so they give it Calamity. Now, people still use their name, and it is sort of one of those things where it's like when people say Chalchiltlikwe over Calamity, it's like they're using the middle name, like the full name, right? When someone tells you, like, to come over here.
I am very impressed you spelled that, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm also impressed. But, Huehue Coyotl, or, now I'm slowly losing everybody's things. So they all the ones that are difficult to pronounce have a nickname associated with them, and that is built in to the naming scheme. Okay, we might be back.
Well, I can see your avatar.
Yep, there you are. Everybody's good.
Woohoo!
Cinder's not good, apparently. Dylan is also not. Dylan might be good. There it is. Okay.
Oh, the avatars, you mean?
Yeah. All right.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah.
Oh, there I am.
Very weird. That's not me.
That's a first.
That's not nothing I can deal with, unfortunately.
Can't say we've had that happen before.
Very sorry. Extreme Lukai. But, it lasts all week, so you have a chance to get it tomorrow when he's here.
Yes.
Huehue Coyotl? Huehue? They say his name, I think, the least. Yes, Jamie. Grab the bingo card at this site and play bingo. We just had a technical difficulty, which is not my problem, but, I count it. I'm not trying to be stingy.
It does count. It does indeed count.
It does indeed count. So, yeah, so that was sort of an example that I had where, like, going in, right, the creator knew that this would be difficult for the fans to say. And, obviously, as you can tell, dedicated fans will say it. But, trying to get into it, right, and see and have those different, those built-in nicknames is kind of really helpful, I think.
I would definitely agree. And they could serve narrative purpose as well. I feel in No Evil that the nicknames also serve to strengthen the bond between the characters. Like, nicknames are typically used as a form of camaraderie or to show like friendship, essentially. So it also kind of serves the narrative purpose too.
And on top of that, a lot of them also, the ones that don't make immediate sense, like Huey from Huehue Coyotl, makes sense, right? Look at the spelling. What's the other one? Icky from Ichabod, those are all ones that you can, like, expect. But how do you get Calamity from Chalchiltlikwe? Well, you don't, but it's named after Calamity Jane, which is another character from, history and folklore that Chalchiltlikwe is inspired by, right? So, like,
now what about
that's sort of how that
Kitty?
So Kitty is actually a narrative one where in the prequel to No Evil, kind of prequel, there's a comic that talks about the first time that the black ink took over everything. It's like $5. Highly recommend it. Really nice, really cute. And it talks about that Paula actually gave Khazra Talk her nickname because she met her for the first time and was like the first girl that like Paula had out of like all the spirits, because Rip wasn't around yet. And so she was like, oh, like she's so cute, and so, you know, I want a kitty, and that's how it sort of made
and it just
there
stuck.
And it stuck. But that's what's interesting is the fact that Amarok, who doesn't have a nickname, also is the least sociable of all of them, being sort of this outcast, being sort of this outside society, not wanting to interact with anybody, and he doesn't have a nickname, right?
So there's a little bit of that narrative element coming
Exactly.
into play with the naming. Whether intentional or not, I'm not entirely sure, but you can definitely read into it.
Exactly, Dorky David. Exactly.
Yeah,
Familiarity. Something from you said during a stream? What is it, Jamie? Now I need to know. Yeah, so it's a lot of things. Well, exactly. Exactly, Jamie. So it you know, it's interesting things like that where there is layers involved to a certain extent, right?
Yeah. And we're not talking like many layers, but they're still there if you wanted to look for them.
Indeed. They're existing, and that's all that matters.
Exactly. And that brings us to what we struggled to name the most.
Yeah, a lot.
We really struggled with this one. So, when you're writing a story about pirates, pirate ships typically have names. You know, the Queen Anne's Revenge, the Black Pearl, if you're going the fiction route. There's usually a name that goes with the ship. And Milano has a ship, so it needed a name. So we tried tackling this from a story-driven angle. We previously said on a bunch of different angles, yes. So many, and we shall get to them all in due time. The first angle we looked at it was a story/character-driven angle, in which we've said on stream before that Milano is a character that has left his home behind. Most of the callers have, either because they just didn't get in there, or they were chased away, or they just weren't welcomed. Milano has left his original home for similar reasons. And there was this idea that someone in his family did own a butcher shop that he had worked in for a time. So we were thinking something along the lines of, okay, well, he didn't like working at this butcher shop. That was never the kind of life he wanted. So depending on what we name the butcher shop, maybe we can name the ship something completely opposite of that, kind of showing one ideal versus another ideal. Then we ran into the problem, well, crap, what the hell do we call the butcher shop? Because we had not gotten that far in the story. We had gotten to the point where we definitely came up with the backstory and everything, but we didn't come up with, like, what was the name of Milano's hometown, what was the name of where he used to work, and that whole bit. So we thought about that for a little bit, and we did come up with a pretty good name. A pretty good name. I do have to save it for spoiler reasons, but when we started looking at ship names to juxtapose this shop name, there just was not an easy way of doing it, or not rough. A natural way that made sense.
It was
it required too much thought. So then we started thinking, okay, why don't we try going a little simpler with this? A bloody cleaver. I'm not gonna say if you're close or not, Dorky David, but that is quite the name for a butcher shop. I wonder what else they're cleaving there.
Oh, God.
Tell me it doesn't give those vibes. So then we started looking at it from a simpler angle. Milano is a character who craves freedom. He just wants to do his own thing. What if we found a name that literally just meant freedom? So that's another thing that you can do when it comes to naming. You just plug a name into Google Translate, and then you take whatever version of whichever language you use, and it spits that out on you. I used to use that a lot for giving my Pokemon nicknames and naming my town in Animal Crossing back when New Leaf came out. My town was named Amica, by the way, which meant friendship. So, oh yeah, this naming convention has been with me since like the middle school days. But so we tried that. We did attempt it, and the results were just boring. The results were just absolutely boring. Like, you tried the Latin translation of freedom, it's just
Liberté.
Like, it was libertas.
Yeah, it's one of those words
it was like
we
liberté,
really leaned.
Libertas, libertia, and it's like, no, this is just not the vibe. This it's just not fitting. We hated it. We hated it all. So then we're like, okay, let's think even simpler, because that's how Milano thinks. He would not put as much thought into this as we're putting in. So then I turned to Ori and I said, I know this is cliche as hell, but what if we made the ship the outcast? So we started rolling
without the E.
Without the E.
Without the E.
Very important. Without the E.
Gotta differentiate.
Definitely. So we started going from that angle because it doesn't get more simple than that. And there are certainly series that have named either their group or their maybe even their magic system, if it's a fantasy, off of the title of the book, show, or whatever the medium happens to be. So we went this angle. And in Milano's backstory, he didn't have money to afford a ship. It was always planned that he had to steal a ship in order to get
to
out.
Have it.
well, in order to escape society.
Well,
yeah.
also in this world, ships are particularly expensive, right?
Oh, across many historical periods, ships are expensive.
But what's very interesting about that is that in our world, it's very island-centric, right? So there's not a lot of, like, internal inland sort of things. Like, to leave the almost immediate area that you are in, the only way is a ship. But the only people who can afford these ships are, the super high class and the naval force of the, area. So that's a very important sort of lore aspect there.
Oh my god, David.
I think you need to make, like, a butcher character now, Dorky David.
Yeah,
you're just going ham.
I'm kind of leading toward a necromancer vibe. That's a vibe I'm getting personally.
That could be fun. That could be fun.
That would be, so good.
Yeah, so Milano steals a ship. A naval ship.
And it's a military ship, because they're the only ones who really have access.
Like a ton of ships.
So, we started thinking, okay, what could this ship had been called? Well, it's a naval ship. It probably wouldn't have been called the Outcast. It probably would have been called something else. So then we started thinking, what if Milano scratched out other letters, or over time, the ship just got worn down enough that only certain letters were left behind to spell out outcasts. So, to make a very long story short, now we had to find a name for this new ship that not only could be its own standalone name that represented the military, but also was able to spell outcasts in the correct order.
One of my favorite inspirations of this sort of idea is that, well, so that's the thing, Jamie. He didn't actually specifically rename it, but this was inspired by, if you've ever listened to the Adventure Zone Amnesty arc, Clint's character Ned owns a store called the Necronomica. He eventually gets a essentially food truck that he makes into a mobile Necronomica. However, he specifically makes sure that the food truck was originally named Crepes by Monica so that it could have the closest similarity in letters to Necronomica. He's a kobold.
Listen to that arc. Oh, that's amazing, David. So after much trial and much tribulation, we have our business meetings every Monday. This had to take up at least an hour
We're
of that.
very official.
Oh, we are very professional.
So professional.
We ended up with the Stout Castigator. With castigator meaning a person who severely reprimands or criticizes someone or something.
Punishes.
Boy, don't that sound like the military we have created in our particular world.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, when you take out some of those beginning letters and some of those ending letters, you do indeed get outcast. So that is the very lengthy story of how our ship finally got a name.
Exactly.
Oh no, we hop into a voice chat and go, let's do this. But it does have to be structured for a certain time.
Yeah, so we never used to do business meetings. We only started doing business meetings, I think, about a month ago.
Well, we started doing business meetings when we started doing streams because we realized, crap, when are we ever going to be able to talk about the comic without giving spoilers? Because we have to be able to discuss things to make any progress on the story.
Before we streamed, we called like every weeknight to like chill while I worked on the comic and like talk about life and comic stuff, right? So we talked a lot. But then we started streaming instead, and that streaming takes up that time that we would normally do that.
We can't exactly talk about plot on here.
Exactly. So we stopped being able to talk about like new plot-related things, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, like the comic's about to launch, you know, we got to talk about, you know, all the other stuff involved with that and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, we gotta make a time, and we made a time, and they're business meetings, and they have meeting minutes, and they have like lists of stuff. Some of them are more intense than others.
We have schedules. Yesterday's, I would say, was intense. We had,
well, it ended up being
anyone
intense.
who came to our consistency talk last week, we had a big focus on consistency last night concerning the dialogue. We had spreadsheets going. We had lists of what words character used, what words they don't. It was madness.
A lot of stuff.
Well, Jamie, as much as I trust you, it unfortunately won't be secret because it's on the internet and it can be rewatched. Anyone could find our secrets at any time.
It's not even that. I want you to have a reason to read it, Jamie. Come on.
Yes,
if
Jamie,
I give away all the story
spreadsheets. Because does Milano say you or does he say ya? Does he
say the or duh?
The ing at the end of the word, or does he leave it off?
When does he use an er? When does he use an a?
Do ya? All these little things, they
or
seem
do
insignificant.
You?
And honestly, many would probably not bother with a dialect because it is complicated, and it's a facet of language that gets very complex very quickly.
Mars is a language nerd.
As the writer, yeah,
a dialect nerd at very least.
But I also wanted to go that extra mile because dialect can convey a character's background. It can convey intention. It can convey how they're feeling about something. Like when I'm talking in a presentation, I will enunciate. I will say, I am talking to you. But if I'm hanging with a friend, I'm like, I'm talking to you. Like, there's a difference in how it's presented. You read differently into the intonation, into the word usage. And my personal opinion, I think it does add up to fleshing out a complete character.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that PCM, saying having a Brooklyn accent so thick it appears in text as well. Being that this is solely text-based, right? Now, I will say that we do have plans to have mainly Dylan voice a lot of the characters and have voices on the YouTube eventually. But since the main section of it is text only, in order to really get across the sound of each character was very important. And on top of just like, character design plays a lot into sort of understanding status and where everybody is, it really adds, like Mars was saying, a very important layer.
Fantastic point. I'll get into once you finish talking.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It was more just the idea that, like, Mars was saying how it's all about these layers. And I honestly don't think we could have told the same story as well if we didn't involve a dialect, because where it changes and where it doesn't, and who has what and where and when, really does matter. And maybe no one will pick up on it. Maybe they won't. Maybe it's just for us. But it gives this level of, what Ferrex sounds like, right? If you've ever read a comic from something that has a actual TV show, so like let's say Over the Garden Wall has a comic, Bravest Warriors has a comic. Both of these started as visual animated series that have voice acting. If you know that series well enough and you go and read the comic, you read it in their voices. But without necessarily having that very specific animated sort of, predecessor, that voiced predecessor.
You have to create the voice from scratch.
Exactly. So at least with having these dialects and these way of speaking where each character is different, it forces each reader to have at very least a similar idea of what each character sounds like in their own head, versus saying that, like, you read, something else where everybody is from the same town, like, they don't have individual voices. You're not hearing necessarily a voice in your head. And it's sort of that, like, that difference.
Yeah. And it was interesting that you mentioned the character design as well, because the dialect matches not just the character's background, but also where they've come from. Like Ferrex, he's got that shirt hanging off his shoulder. Like, he's very loose in his dialect when he's being goofy. But when things get serious, like the belts that he has to tighten, like, his dialogue then becomes very curt, very to the point. He enunciates. He doesn't have that slang anymore when he gets serious. So it's a reflection of the character, and it's a reflection of their personality and how they're feeling in a moment. Ferrex is a perfect example of that, because we do use his dialect in a variety of ways. Like I said, there are moments where when he's using more slang, he's being goofy. But when he gets serious, he drops the dialect. And you start with a little bit of a hint, without giving spoilers, you start to wonder, which is the real Ferrex? Is it the goofy one that uses the slang? Or is it the serious one that actually sounds kind of formal from time to time?
Every character, Steven.
It raises questions.
And another interesting, it just ties in so much, because it's one of those things that I don't think very many people are gonna sit down, read the comic, and be like, I pick up on this, right? Just like there's a lot of foreshadowing and stuff that we do that, you know, at least in my experience as a consumer, I ain't picking up on that shit. You know, there's the Pats and the you know.
I am there for pretty art. I am there to read a good story. Sometimes I start picking up on it, and I've noticed this. I don't know if you have, Ori, but in doing a story with so many layers, I've started reading more into things I watch and things I've been digesting through media.
Yeah. I've definitely increased my scrutiny.
It's definitely honed my abilities, I should say.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm going for entertainment.
Exactly. But it's the idea that if we do get somebody that's a theorist, they could pick up on it. But it's also the idea that making it so that the dialogue is written, right? Making it so that it is specifically written Didja, Didja, as one word, forces the reader, thinking about it or not, in order to read it with different sounds. It forces them to just sort of innately recognize that Milano speaks differently than Hotson, speaks differently than Sinnit. You know, like all these sort of things that it just sitting there and existing.
And Hotson, who both had formal education, who are both like scientists in their own right, still speak very differently from each other. You could tell, even though they're both scientists and they may both be talking about plants, which is a Sinnit line and which is a Hotson line, based solely on their word usage.
And that's exactly what we really wanted to come across. Like, that was the most important sort of bit of this.
I would say another goal for me was also being realistic. Because there, especially with Ferrex, there is something we as people do very often. And it's called code switching. Code switching is when you change how you talk, how you present yourself, depending on what group you're hanging out with. So, Ori, the way I'm talking to you or the way I'm talking on Twitch might be incredibly different from how I talk with, say, my college friends.
Or think about the customer service voice.
Or even my parents. Or the customer service voice. Exactly. That's perfect. It's a different personality or a different way of presenting yourself depending on the situation. And it's something we all do, whether we're conscious of it or not. You just automatically do it. You ever notice, like, maybe with your friends, you feel a little bit looser, you feel like maybe you're dropping your INGs a little bit more. That's code switching. You're in a different scenario. You're presenting yourself differently, whether that's subconscious or unconscious, or subconscious or conscious. There we go. So, I like it when a little bit of realism is worked into my stories. Personally, I think it just makes them all the more engaging.
And then, like I said, I think it's very important.
Well, the interesting thing, and I just thought of this, even if you don't know what code switching is, even if you don't, if you aren't familiar with the term, you've still experienced it. So you may not be aware that's what's happening in the comic, but you're still attuned to it. You still pick up on it, even if you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
He does not own a lab coat, Jamie.
He has this one coat, which means I have to show my favorite freaking panel in this entire thing.
Oh, please do.
He has this one coat, just the one. That is it. I love this panel so much.
You have a lab coat, Jamie?
I have 4 lab coats, but yeah, you know, it's a little competition.
So this is Hotson. He likes his personal space. This is Milano. He also likes Hotson's personal space.
That's a vibe, Dorky David. But the other thing that, what was I gonna say? Oh, about code switching. It's also so that idea of, like, accidentally putting on an accent when somebody else talks in an accent, right? Or the idea that, like, accents are completely learned, right? Accents are completely
yeah.
learned. There's the stories you've probably heard about parents who have spoken in a different accent than their native one and given their child an accent because of it. Moving to a different area will give you a modified accent. But just, sort of, you've probably had those sort of kind of internally cringe embarrassing moments where you've interacted with somebody that has an accent and you've started leaning into that accent without even trying, without even thinking about it, and just sort of having that like, oh no, I hope that I don't think they're making fun of me, like that I'm making fun of them or anything, right? But you just sort of have this internal thing. An interesting example is my grandmother is originally from England. She moved to the United States when she was 18. Okay. She lived in the Northeast for a very long time until finally retiring to the South. She lives in an area where the majority of people there are from the Northeast and retired to the South.
Wow.
As a child...
Oh, you're going to have a whole melting pot of voices over there.
So as a child... So as a child, when I visited her, I thought that the Southern accent, the classic Southern, American accent, was a myth, or North Carolina wasn't South enough for it, because every person I interacted with, because it was my grandmother and all her friends, which were all, New Yorker, New Jerseyans, like all that sort of stuff, they didn't have Southern accents, right? So I thought it was a lie. Until you literally go outside that area, and now you have... But the other thing is that it's a lot of Northerners are in this area of hers, so going to the store and talking with the clerk, they're from Long Island, turns out, or something like that, right? Like, they're from New York. It was so common. And, no, exactly, Dorky David. And so it was one of those interesting things. I don't know if Ohio has a very different accent than the Northeast, Jamie. I have cousins who live in Ohio.
Midwestern definitely has a little bit of its own dialect, and a little bit of its own word usage. Like, I'm sure, if you ever have some spare time on your hand and you want a moderately interesting way to spend a night, look up what regions of the U.S. use soda and which regions use pop.
Well, that's a very interesting.
You may be surprised by the results. But I know that was a big thing in my phonetics class.
So when I went to college, I went to upstate New York. We're from Long Island. I went to upstate New York.
We sound like weirdos, Jamie?
No. This is what I'm gonna say, Jamie. So we are from Long Island, right? So this is not the city. This is not Brooklyn. We don't have Brooklyn accents.
But we apparently say coffee differently.
But we say coffee different than Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have a New Yorker accent. We don't have a Brooklyn accent. We don't have a Queens accent. We have a Long Island accent. However, we have a mid-Long Island accent. And the reason that I know about this, and this is very, very interesting, is that we have so many goddamn people on Long Island, right? And in the city, that there are so many different sort of mixtures and accents. Honestly, to me, so you could go to school with people and they pronounce things differently, right? So living in my town with all the people in my school, I could go to different people in that school, and we could say like the classic words that you try to get people to say. I'm not gonna say them in case people want to make us do it, but those sort of words, and we could all pronounce them differently. And now we're living like right next to each other, right? I didn't think this to be too weird, and I never really found a lot of people to have what I would consider to be an accent, right? I don't know. This was my reality. I went to college in upstate New York, in Syracuse. So now there's a lot of people still from Long Island and New York City. There's a lot of people that see PCM. To me, I pronounce
I'm
both
PCM.
Sometimes.
You can't stand either as either instead of either, or either as either instead of either.
I've done both because it matters. Like the context to me matters, right? I'll also like either one, but it'll be either or, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah, okay. Dorky Dave says either with the E noise.
Very helpful.
So when I went to college, right, there was a lot of people from upstate. And it's like the versus the, right? Like they have their moments. I never thought that I had like a very specific accent, right? But it always impressed me when people would sit there and be like, "You're from Long Island, aren't you?" Because I didn't notice necessarily the people around me from upstate New York having particularly different accents. They would say different words, like they would say clicker instead of remote, and they would say pop instead of soda, and they would say like, certain words. But
and this
I never
is still
really
within
felt
New York.
This
we
is
haven't
still
even left
within
the
New York.
state
We are
yet.
still in New York. These people are
This
still
is why
native New Yorkers.
Are so fascinating, people.
However, they would sit there and tell me, because my parents would always call me at night because we would all watch Jeopardy together at the same time. And now, other fun fact is that Jeopardy airs at a different time in upstate New York than it airs on Long Island, which is very weird. But they would tell me all the time that yes, I have a Long Island accent, but your parents have a really thick one. And it's just like, I don't think I talk very different from my parents or anything like that. I don't know why I would talk very different from my parents, but apparently they have an incredibly thick Long Island accent and I have a mild one. And the very much thing is that there are two words that they would make fun of me for, and I say horror and orange. It's not an orange, it's an orange. And that might be an English holdover from my grandmother to my mother. I'm trying
to think how I pronounce it. I'm going to try to say it as normally as I can without thinking about it. I'd like some orange juice. I think I said orange.
You said, I don't know. I heard orange. It's orange juice.
Did I say orange or orange?
You definitely didn't.
That time I was paying attention to it. I'd like some orange juice.
That time you definitely said orange with an O.
Okay.
But yeah, I say orange juice. So it's orange juice, and it's horror. I want to watch a horror movie, not a horror movie, a horror movie.
Okay, so you're using it with the aw instead of the
but I don't say forest. That's stupid.
Because that's just wrong.
Yeah, it's forest, right? Like I go to the woods.
That one.
I go to the forest.
Occasionally you do have your dialects, and then you just have pronunciations that are outright wrong and take away the meaning from the word.
But those are the ones that people made fun of me for.
There's the occasional line you gotta watch out for.
But so those are the big ones that people get at me, that I would say horror. It's a horror movie. It's not a horror movie. I think it...
Okay,
let
me try. I don't like to watch horror movies. No, I definitely say horror.
Yeah. I think
I do not say horror. Yeah, that feels weird in my
in your mouth?
In my mouth.
How it's in the back of your throat?
Not even in my mouth. Like it is in the back of my throat, so I feel it in my throat.
Yeah. I think mine's a holdover from like a weird English American mix thing. But
Could
also
be.
Because so my family background is kind of weird, where my grandmother on my father's side is first generation American from a fully Latin American household, and my grandmother from my mother's side is again British, off the boat British, right? Like she was 18 and she came from England to America. So I don't think my grandmother on my father's side has any weird accent, but I'm gonna tell you that she probably does. She probably has some weird English, Latin American sort of accent, and I just don't think about it, right? Because you get so used to it.
Exactly.
Because and I have to say that logically she definitely does, because when she speaks Spanish, it doesn't sound different than when she speaks English, but I know that she speaks Spanish well with the Hispanic accent, so it's like, yes, she definitely has an accent. But it's a very weird thing to think about, and it lessens, right? Like my English grandmother doesn't have like a thick British accent or anything like that, but it's noticeable, it's there. It's very interesting like that. Analyze your accent, Jamie. Aw, PCM, I'm sorry you feel that way. I bet it's not bad. Look, people said it's cute. That means they liked it.
Yeah, people said it was adorable. Jamie, if you ever transcribe your voice to the phonetic alphabet, I guarantee you would be shocked.
Bad taste. Oh no. But yeah, so it's very interesting to think about because it's definitely like I don't notice very different accents, right? But I think that's because I interact with so many people. My partner Dylan, he speaks differently than I do, and his mother speaks differently than I do, and his father speaks differently than I do. But I don't sit there and think like, yes, we have very logical different accents. But, you know, because they're so close originally. But just to think that he's from a slightly different part of a very slightly different. Again, we went to the same high school, slightly different part from Long Island, right? But his mother and father both worked in New York City for years.
Ah,
so that's where they get their
that
weird
would do it.
Sort of tics from, is from his mother and his father being New York Cityers, right? Queens and I think they were both Queens. But yeah,
okay.
My parents were originally New York. They both lived on Long Island, and then they both were in New York City because they both worked in New York City, and then they both have come back to Long Island. Well, my father still works in New York City, but my father has a very strange case where he works with people from all over the world. You know, Chinese, Indian, Hispanic, like everybody, and they have very thick accents. So he is actually a very interesting. Yeah. But he's an interesting case where that has trained his ear to be able to understand people with extreme accents without any problem at all. And so people that like speak with a very thick Indian accent or very thick Russian accent or something will have other people who aren't, you know, ear trained in this way from just existing be like, what the hell are they saying? I don't know. And he's like, you don't know what they're saying? Like, come on. Like, what? It's like clear as day. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, how can you not follow that? Come on.
Exactly.
Well, all of this tangent is to say, I think having dialects in a comic is very realistic because we encounter them every day, whether we're aware of it or not. And that's the
very
fun of it.
Durkee David.
That is the fun of it.
That's a very interesting thing. So Durkee David talks about how a native speaker of any language can almost always tell when a non-native speaker speaks the language, no matter like how much you've done it, and it just because of that. There's something very interesting to think about that's so ingrained in our like existence that when you use non-verbal languages, you still have quote unquote an accent, right? So there's a whole thing within the deaf community, specifically the ASL speaking deaf community, that you have people who have learned who never had hearing versus lost their hearing later at life versus are hard of hearing. They all speak
congenital and acquired.
And they all speak with ASL differently. And learning ASL from a hearing person gives you a different, really weird dialect from learning ASL from a non-hearing person. Yeah. And so it's like a very weird thing that it is so ingrained that it translates to non-verbal communication, right? Like, I think that's very interesting, and that's just fully exaggerated in, you know, sign languages, but you can think about it with body language, right? Like, you've probably been on the internet and heard about all the weird things about it being, like, certain gestures mean different things, and, like, places that need eye contact versus never have eye contact versus, you know, all these sort of things, and it's just very interesting.
We actually call those pragmatics.
Go,
those are the different nonverbal ways of communicating that enhance language and understanding of said language.
This is Mars's area.
I am in my zone right now.
Indeed.
this is kind of like a study period for me now.
Yeah, really. Look, we talked about finals, right? Well, it's all good
you guys
because
are trading me for my final right now. Thank you. But yeah, no, there's a reason I got into the field I got into. I just find it so incredibly fascinating. The various ways that we communicate, not just verbal, but all the little nuances that enhance everything as well. I don't know. I just really want to incorporate that passion into the comic as well. For all the reasons I mentioned before. I find it interesting. It's a way to add layers. It's another way to tell the story. And it's realistic. So, in this bit about naming, we have now talked about dialects.
They related in the end, because when you think about it, it also relates, right? How we talked about how that the colors have a certain naming scheme versus the humans have a different naming scheme and everything like that. So it's the idea that, like, that's areas of the world, right? Different, quote unquote, dialects usually come with different sorts of names, right? You have different areas that have different naming schemes. I know Dorky David said that was an important part of sort of his world, was that each area has a naming scheme, so you have a list of like names that would go with that area, and that's probably influenced with the certain noises that you make, right? Because also like certain names that you're gonna pick, and I think that really comes across when you have people who come from different language speaking countries, right, having very different names. If you talk about like having like people who are Indian having very different like noises and sound combinations, not even ones that like we don't use, but just like the idea that like you don't have that in a name usually, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just a very
and
interesting
then when you
thing
get
to
to
think
the
about.
Languages that do have sounds that aren't found in English,
Yeah.
it gets really interesting.
This belongs above. Layers.
Look at that, more layers, even in art.
But it's also interesting to study dialects versus namings versus all of that sort of stuff in relation to like, it's a way of evolution when you think about it, right? That like we got our accent, like the American accent, the start of the American accent, came from sort of English accents, right? And then morphed into our own thing with all of our other influences and everything. The idea that like, we have different American accents throughout the country. England has their different accents, Canada has their different accents.
That's why it's so varied between not even just states, but within states.
But so now imagine a country of island sections being relatively isolated besides the military. What that would involve would create a military accent, right? Just think about it, right? That these are the people that manage to go everywhere all the time and pick up all these little quirks and ticks and everything. If they, and now, because of the world that we're in, sort of those families kind of stay military, right? A lot of the time. It's sort of a lot in the family and everything like that. So you're picking up all of these different languages and you would have a military accent, right? So you would have those people.
I certainly see that happening.
Yeah, so you would have those people. No, this is
I'm not Jamie, I promise.
I mean, like they're already.
Everett is just going to be very formal. He's going to be to the point, but he's also going to be a nervous boy as well.
But Mars, Jamie, what you don't get is that there already is a military accent baked into the way that we have structured this story. Because it is how Hotson speaks. It is how Sinnott speaks. It is how Everett speaks, right? You're not gonna have.
Because of the
does
world
just
we
kind of
created.
exist because of the world we created. Exactly. That these characters exist and all talk in a certain way because of their life experiences, and it is their life experiences are very closely tied.
Hotson is military, Jamie.
Yes.
Let's that's not a spoiler. That's just some backstory
It's not a
detail.
spoiler.
But Hotson is military, or
In a way.
was military,
In a
shall
way.
I say.
Should I show the concept art piece if I can get it?
I think the concept art is okay. There's nothing too spoilery in there.
As long as I can make sure the other one isn't there.
Preview it first.
I know what it looks like. But if I zoom in on it correctly, we should be okay. If I do it right.
I'm pretty sure you did it as 2 separate files.
I did not.
Okay,
I'm very certain I did
I'm
not.
wrong.
I'm almost absolutely certain I did not. But we shall see.
But
Who will be
yes,
right?
Hotson is military through his family. I think I can reveal this.
Oh,
It's
they
not
are
too
different.
big of a spoiler.
You're right.
But Hotson's dad was part of the
This is a
military.
very old
And
concept art, but yeah.
for a bit, Hotson tried to follow that path as well.
It's kind of forced, but you know.
Yes, Hotson is a military child,
Nice.
as is Everett.
That is very true. That is very true, Dorky David. Acronyms are big.
I had a customer once come up to me who was a veteran, and he was trying to. I was trying to help him order something online, and the way he was telling me his email, he
was just weird?
using like it was like a combination of words. Think for example, cup, iPhone, picture, scarf, like something like that at gmail.com. And I'm typing in like word for word for word what he's saying, and I'm like,
oh, and it's just
nothing's coming up, and
CIPS.
it's literally CIPS at gmail.com.
Yeah.
And I got home and I told my dad, I was like, that's a really weird way of doing that. And he's like, that's a military thing. I was like, really? How is that easier than just saying the letter?
I only understand that when they actually use like the actual NATO alphabet, right? Because at least I can understand that.
Soldier.
No,
Not a child soldier.
more
David.
like
no.
like he was in
More
like,
like
RTC, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the vibe.
Yeah.
Like he went to military school, you know? Like,
He had
that's
to
the
be
vibe.
of age. He had
Yeah.
to be of age, David.
So Hudson is... I'm trying to remember his exact age.
I still don't understand how that avoids confusion, Jamie, because to me, CIPS is a lot clearer and more concise than cup, iPhone, picture, scarf.
But like just do C as in cup, right? I as in iPhone, you know, or something like I've done it like, you know, B or T on the phone can like get garbled, so it'll be
that's
like
due to frequencies. The
Yeah.
phone cannot pick up on certain frequencies that you are producing. That's why you have to say F as in Frank, S as in Sally, all those classics.
yeah.
For anyone who has used the telephone, we have dated ourselves once again.
But the idea that like what was I gonna say? There is a NATO, you know, alphabet, right? Like there's official
JB,
alphabet.
I know those aren't the ones. I was just picking items that are literally in my vicinity to give an example.
Because like I could do, you know, there's like Charlie, there's Echo, there's, you know, Bravo. Yeah, exactly. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. There's Echo. Kilo is the K. You know, like there's an official one, right? So if you're just gonna go into it and use the official NATO, at least I understand it.
Yeah,
But
that's a big one.
Foxtrot, thank you. Unicorn. Isn't it Wyoming? Well, but we don't have a different CH in America, so it doesn't matter. Because it confirms the ch noises solely for words that start with C, right? So it confirms that that word starts with C. Because you can't say, like, if you say a k word, then what about K, right? How do you know? I think that's how it works out.
This is why the phonetic alphabet is so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. See, we're all on the same page. what was I? I was doing something. Oh, I was trying to look up Hoatson's
well,
exact age.
You just showed off. He is 24, I believe, or 23.
No, I think that's Milano.
Milano's 24.
Milano was the older one. I think Hoatson's.
Then Hoatson's 23.
Yeah, 23. So yeah, so Hoatson's 23, right? So that means that he was very much at least 18 in that picture. 16 at the very youngest, but like again, RTC vibes, right? Like Hotson wasn't like out fighting battles or something, that he wasn't to that extent. But we're talking like military school or like those sort of vibes.
Yeah.
So that's
we're learning so much about Hotson.
We are learning a lot about Hotson. ROTC, thank you. I remember like getting ready to go to college, and they called me so many times that I was just like, why are they calling me so many times? Please stop calling me. I have zero interest in this. How many times can I say no before you understand? I'm not doing
enough,
this.
Apparently.
Never enough. Never enough.
I remember when they started like trailing people to college, and I was
terrible.
like, please leave me alone.
Nice, Jamie.
I am here, and that is not part of my plans anytime soon.
I wonder if my medical condition now disqualifies me. I hope so.
They're not still contacting you, are they?
Oh, no. I don't know. You can never be too ready for a draft. Damn. All right, Dorky David. I'm assuming you never joined the Marine. It worked. Whatever his tactic was, it worked.
I assume that question is directed at David, JB?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
No, at Dorky David. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, those are various ways to name things in your story.
Yeah, do you have any naming questions?
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. Asking for suggestions.
Or any stories you want to share about how you've named things. I can actually share a recent story about my D&D character since Ori shared hers. My character's name is Miss Molly.
Well, it's not D&D anymore.
Oh, that's right. It's Pathfinder. I'm just so used to saying D&D.
I know. It's shorter because PF2E like is not as like tongue rolly as D&D, but
yeah,
I'm like in the system.
Saying it, but I can adjust.
You'll get there.
But Miss Molly is a poppet, so she is a living doll, and I definitely designed her to be very cute. And part of her backstory is that she did used to work in her family's restaurant. So she kind of has like a little bit of a customer service attitude, but she's very childlike as well. So I wanted something that kind of encompassed the waitress aspect, but then also like captured the this is a doll. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should try and think of like a name that's like something the Dolly, like Holly the Dolly or Molly the Dolly. And I was like, oh, Molly, okay. I was like, okay, well, what's a kind of like cutesy, like Raggedy Ann-esque type way of saying that? How about Miss Molly? Because sometimes old vintage dolls did have those names. So I was like, okay, Miss Molly. Yeah, this is rolling off the tongue. I feel like this works. It makes sense with the backstory. It makes sense with the character. And it's like, she, again, is very childlike. So in her games, like, if she were playing restaurant, she'd be like, oh, I'm Miss Molly, and I'll be your waitress today. So it just worked out very, very well.
And then I rip her arm off. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I've been talking with Dylan so much about how to, like, gank is not the word, but gank is the word I want to say. How to gank that Pathfinder game, you know?
Oh my god. I can't wait to share that story on Thursday.
Oh, I'm very excited. But I've learned a lot
Ori
about
ripped
Pathfinder.
my arm off, guys.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, okay?
It still hurt.
I know. I was sad about it.
It's okay, Miss Molly forgave you.
I didn't forgive me yet.
She gave you a hug. That's all the forgiveness you need.
I need to forgive me.
Well, Jamie, to answer that question, she was trying to heal me.
Yes.
No, it wasn't a Warren arm hug. She was trying to heal me. It didn't work.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it on Thursday. No spoilers.
It still makes me laugh.
Oh my god. Yeah, lots of fun
Here,
Pathfinder
let
stuff.
me help you. Ow.
Yep.
Well, Jamie, I will say this. My character is a doll. So maybe that makes it a little easier to understand how this happened.
Still though.
Let's wait until Thursday, PCM, because that is our big D&D/Pathfinder day. I only started talking about Pathfinder just now in reference to how I named Miss Molly. I did not mean to go into details. But Ori mentioned ripping my arm off,
I'm
so
traumatized.
I had to contribute.
I'm traumatized.
I think I traumatized you with the very sad voice I used.
Literally, it happened. I was dying.
Yeah, not a human. My character is a doll, stuffing fabric.
A doll.
Not human.
A doll.
Not
Dorky
human.
David, is there a reason you're doing 1E versus 2E? Yeah, no, PCM, I know you're king of sad voices.
I don't know. I might give you a run for your money, PCM.
That is very true.
Apparently, I traumatized Ori.
That is very true. You did. I'll never recover, and I'll fall for you, and never be the same.
Why did you do that?
I really wanna mend somebody.
Why did you do that?
I wanted just to heal their arm, okay? I know that she's just a doll, but I ripped her arm off. Bingo. Yeah.
Oh, I see, David. Well.
Well then, Jamie.
Wow.
Yes.
That is one reaction to losing an arm.
What was I gonna say?
Would they do that to their own arm?
Well, I'm uncertain if their character is human or not. Yeah, there we go. Lizard folk.
folk.
That makes sense. I was leaning that way.
I still have my previous question. What if it were their own arm?
Lizard folk specifically eat humans, so I'm gonna go with probably not. Exactly.
Can confirm, Ori.
Oh, I know the lore. I know the lore, man. The lore, man. Oh! Just because we're here and it's art day, I have 2 new, of those tarot character cards that I can show, because they're not Mars's character. So I can show them if we want to see. I'm assuming you want to see. You don't really get a choice if you don't want to see, because it doesn't take
I
that
always
long.
want to see.
But,
I'm not gonna.
We're gonna see. So here is this one. I'm very proud of this one.
Jamie, what else would you do with the new ranger? You know, they gotta pass inspection. Hey, you Bart
Hello,
starter.
Bart starter.
Did you just join or have you been lurking?
Who knows? Who cares? We're happy to have you either way.
Oh, that pose you got with the map looks so good.
Yeah. So this is specifically our cartographer of the campaign. So he drew on the map all the time, and he was a rune knight, so he's carving a rune in it. This is specifically a shield rune because he loved runic shield, and I gotta say, I am so happy with this scale texture I got going on in here.
That
like,
looks
not gonna
amazing.
lie, like this is top tier shit right here. Like, I don't know. Just
Pat
saying.
yourself on the back.
I'm just
It
saying.
looks amazing.
Top tier right there. Okay. Well, we're always happy for lurkers, Bart Starter.
Bart Star, I gotta ask, if you were here for the whole dialect discussion, awesome. But thanks for lurking. We always appreciate a good lurker.
And then this is Nuriel, which honestly, I'm sorry, not Nuriel, Neothel. God,
Neothel.
Freaking talk about names. Okay,
so
let's talk about
good.
names. A second. Let's talk about names a second here.
Yes, bring it full circle, please.
We have a player. This is a great man, great guy. However, he has a type, and that type is Simic hybrids, edgy boys, and wizards. But also, we learned that he has another type, which is very similar sounding names. He played this character, Neothel. Great, fine, awesome, great. And I'm glad, Bart Starter. Warms our hearts. But yes, his character immediately after this one was named Nuriel. So we had Neothel to Nuriel. The amount of times that we mixed up the names at the start of this campaign was crazy.
Nuriel! Wait, I mean Neothel!
I mean Nuriel! I mean, who are you? Whatever your name is.
I don't know your name!
It's so bad. Okay, so these are Christmas gifts for everybody, right? I'm gonna make them like IRL cards. Mars already has some. I asked, because I only have so much time as a human, I asked everybody their favorite character from one of our long campaigns, and so everybody chose. And so this player chose Neothel as his favorite character. So I asked him, because it's very important to be like, what is getting shown off in the cards, right? Like, what was the important thing to you?
What elements are being
what elements were important to you about the character? So I asked him. So he gives me this answer. And I sit there for a moment and I'm reading the answer and I'm like, okay, I want to just be sure. But are we talking about Neothel? I'll read it.
I'm so curious
No.
now.
I'll read it. Okay. So I went, what are the most So I asked, what is your favorite character from the long campaigns? And he said, it's hard to choose, but I'm going to go with Neothel. Close call, I love them all. And I said, so what are the most important parts about Neothel? And he goes, oh boy, that's a complicated question. There's so much to love, but more or less, I think it boils down to... he edited it post now, but to Neothel being someone who valued his friends above his own interests, often fighting his darker nature to be someone they could always rely on. There are many moments to love throughout the story. It's hard to pinpoint any specific ones. And I go... Okay.
Nuriel, is that you?
Just want to be sure that we're talking about Neothel from the Watery Grave and not Nuriel from Post Haste. And he goes, rolling on the floor laughing, I think I confused myself there. And so later on I see...
He's definitely got a type.
He edited
but he
to
can
say
play
Nuriel.
that type very well.
He edited it to say Nuriel after the fact. I'm reading it. So then he gave me like the actual answer that I was looking for, and I was like, okay. But that one just got me. It's like, it's so bad that even he got confused, right? Like, it's so similar. Maybe he got confused. But this boy...
Oh, that's amazing.
Had the biggest glow up. Because look at him, okay? And let me see if I can find...
Oh, the original?
The original.
Oh, you guys are in for a treat.
Yes I can.
And he plays it very well, Jamie.
You like this bit?
Like, hey, if you're good at it, might as well run with it, right?
Nerdy, recluse, edgy boys, and now edgy girl, but it's still the same vibe otherwise.
I mean, hey, he's playing a girl and he's giving voice acting a try. I have heard him try it a couple times.
Yeah.
Very proud.
He's pulling out a bit of his you know his Russian accent. He's
Comfort
rolling the
zone.
R's. You know, he's doing it. But this is what original Neothel looked like, and this is him now. Feel old yet? Oh my god. Yeah. Look at the
what a
comparison.
difference.
I like look at that. Oh god. It's crazy.
Look at that. The hair has
Night
more
and day.
shine.
Well, that's shading. There's no
skin
shading
is
on this one.
different.
But just this is just a dude, right? This is just a
And
dude. This
is
is
Neothel.
like excuse me. Hello there.
There's also like, oops, accidentally hot.
What did I say to you?
That you said that.
No. I said something very specific. I texted Mars when I drew this because I was like on the I was like drawing the sketch part of it, and I said something along the lines of like, what is it? Oh, you ever just realize that your art improvement is just making all characters hot? Cause I did. And then I sent Mars this image.
I said it's the posing. The posing has evolved and eclipsed sexy.
I mean.
But it has.
Yeah.
You can't mistake that.
I mean, when you compare the two Milanos as well. But oh my god.
Big difference.
People can be hot. I don't know. Only fictional characters.
Yeah, only fictional characters.
Oh my god. Can I roast myself again? Can I roast myself again?
If you really want to, I mean, I'm not stopping you.
I'm drawing shocked poses for Mars, Dylan, and my avatars. No, okay, Dookie David, I have something else to say about that in a second. But so I'm making these shocked poses, right? And I'm drawing them right now, and I'm sort of just drawing them as like bodies with the intent that so then they can be any character's clothes whenever needed, right? But so I'm like drawing Dylan's avatar, and I like sent him this like image of his avatar, and I was just like, is it just me or is your avatar hot? I'm dying.
Oh my god, you're going to give Dylan avatar envy.
No, it's his avatar. He called his avatar hot.
Oh, I thought you said that.
No, I said, is it just me or is your avatar hot? And then I sent him like a close-up of his avatar's like eyes, and I said, just look at them eyes, and what did he say? That one's hot. Yes, Dylan is the most hot of any of the avatars. Look at him. I don't know what it is, but it just happened.
Eyes.
It just happened.
Soulful eyes.
It's just, you know, I don't know.
Or
There it
you
is.
clearly pour so much love into your drawings.
It's okay. It's one of those things, and this is a very interesting thing to talk about because it literally only occurred to me as like being like an accent. It's the horns. I mean, vibe though. I drew those. Yeah, the eyes, top tier. But I drew the glowing back tattoos for the rally characters, right? And literally the intent of that drawing was, I like these characters. I remembered those back tattoos from some miraculous Ladybug fan art, and I was like, that's what I want to do, right? I like drawing patterns, like symmetrical patterns with the symmetry tool. It's just very soothing, like glowy stuff, right? I'm just gonna do it. And so I did that, and the sole intention of those pieces is to make like characters. And so yes, I did look up like muscular people like flexing their back for like pose, you know, like inspiration and everything, but like there was no intent to be like, this is supposed to be sexy in any way. And then I like showed them off, and everybody was just like, they're great, they look awesome, you know, everyone, you know, one or two people are like, oh no, he's hot or whatever, and it was like very funny. Then they took them and they posted them on like on social media, right? And they said that I created no, exactly, Jamie, that I created rally thirst traps. And I just sort of had like a moment. I had a moment where I had to like sit there. And
that was the ace. Hard.
It was so.
That was a hard ace moment.
I literally had to sit there and be like, what? like
You're just
really?
sitting there like, I just drew some fun back tattoos.
What's
everyone getting so thirsty about?
Like people are really like this thirsty about this? Like this is not any like sort of intent to be like this is a particularly like, you know, sexy looking pose or whatever, but it does, I guess, give off the vibes of that like TikTok trend with the ring light, right?
It gives out the I just worked out and now I'm flexing
vibe.
Because
I will admit that all of the poses were based on like people in like workout gear flexing their back muscles.
Are fun.
Because that's what needed to happen, right? But it's just like I had to like sit there for a moment and be like is this what people think of me? like because it's one of those things where it's like NSFW artists, you know, go them, right? Some of them are really, really good. Such is life. But, you know, there's definitely like there's those people, and I had no intention of being like related, and I was just like, here. No, exactly, Jamie. I know you vibe, Jamie. So it's just very much like there's a lot of Milano moments, right? That like can be highly interpreted as like a like suggestive or like undertones or whatever, right? Like, you know, like here or something. But it's just like I just want it to be it relates too much to my life in the sense of like I'm a very touchy person, right? Like mainly before the world said, you know, touching is weird now because germs. But such is life. But I was a very touchy person, so I would, you know, like touch my friends and everything like that. And I never, because I'm ace, never had like the sort of like connection that like this could be considered flirting, right? And so it's like I'm just existing, having a good time, being a nice friendly self, and then it's like, oh, you like so and so, and it's like yeah, they're a good friend or whatever, and it's just like,
Jamie, we expect people to thirst over Milano. It's just it comes with his nature.
It's
just what's gonna happen.
Milano,
and we've accepted that.
Is the embodiment of like my inner soul in the sense of that he is completely and utterly oblivious to his like innate like flirtatious vibe, right? Like it's just the idea where it's just like he's just doing him.
Also very
he's just being him.
Accidentally sexy.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, or
maybe that should
like,
be
come
a bingo spot. Oops, sexy.
Right. So it's just like, PCM, you can never leave the chat. We just go all over the place.
That's the problem. We just go on tangents.
But so it's very much the idea that like no, we very much expect people to thirst over anybody, and honestly, that's flattering. Yeah. I find that flattering. Oh, Cinder, hello.
Cinder, hey.
Thirst over?
Yeah, we're talking about thirsty characters.
I'm here.
Yeah, you are here. Unfortunately, Reactive Fuji went down, and you'll probably have to re-upload your avatar and do some sort of shenanigans, unless I can clear the cache.
Shenaniganery.
Oh, there you are. I fixed it.
Am I back?
Hey!
You are back.
Yeah, I had all sorts of weird stuff happening. I maybe that's something I need to do. My stream, a bunch of overlays got weird and was starting to show my IP address.
Yeah, ours
weird.
too. Wait, what?
That's weird. No, we didn't have overlay issues. We had the website that we use for the avatars specifically like went down for a little bit for some reason.
I'm sorry, did you say it was showing your IP address?
I don't know. Somebody in chat said it was. I decided not to investigate it while I was on stream.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I just turned them off for a little bit. That's why you did jump scare us.
Fair.
I just finished stream. I pulled yours up, and they were like, you guys needed. You were talking about needed somebody sexy and thirsty. So I was like, I'm here. Yeah.
Good timing.
PCMC, you feel the pain. Yeah, exactly. It's a delete the bomb.
Oh, there you go. Put a mark on your bingo sheet.
I will
forget.
never.
Oh, you're right.
No. The thing is, if I keep it up, then somebody might download cool movies for me.
But yeah, Cinder, we have bingo now.
What do you mean now?
So we
Ori
made our own
a
stream bingo.
Sheet. There. I cannot talk anymore.
Yeah.
How do I get it?
I just put it in chat, and there's a link now in the chat.
What's on your bingo board? Let me just see.
Lots of different things, because it technically goes throughout the week, right? So some of them involve Dylan, but you're on there.
Where am I?
You're Cinder Bomb.
You guys are the best. I love you guys. What are you guys up to tonight? What are you doing?
So we were talking about namings, but we got onto a long tangent about sort of
Dialect.
accidentally making things sexy.
Yeah,
then
that's what it was. You were talking about making things sexy, and I was like,
Yeah.
they need me.
So
They need me.
so
They need somebody to make something sexy.
I'll show it again.
I'm here. I'm ready to
Cinder.
roll.
Um,
If I flex too hard, it'll become inappropriate for stream, so I have to be careful.
so this is the most recent.
Rip off my trench coat by accident.
Yeah. This is the most recent imagery of this character, Neothal. And this is the original piece of artwork for him. So the glow up is certainly real.
Oh my god. Yeah, one of them. Listen, one of them is a creepy kid in an arcade that is
so
the kind of
true.
person that would like go to a porn convention and say creepy things to a porn
It's so
star,
real.
and then like run away if they were ever like asked to like act on the things they say. The other one is literally a guy that has spent 2 years in geisha school.
That's so specific.
Yeah, well, I did both of those, so I know what both of those people are.
But
I'm just kidding. I haven't
yeah,
done either of those.
so
Yes,
it's
working
essentially
towards
just
them.
the idea that I started sketching this new image, and I like had like a moment, and I like messaged Mars, and I went I have to find it again. What I said, do you ever realize that your art improvement is just making all characters hot? Because I did. Oh, and I just the realization happened with the rally back tattoos. We were talking about those, and me sort of like just very innocently drawing them, and then Pat
them all
being like,
And then
well, no,
fans
and then
being
Pat,
all like,
Pat
wow,
literally
these are
being
hot.
like, I have no other words to say, but Ori made rally thirst traps. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
was not the intention. I will say,
Ori had an existential crisis where she just sat in a chair and went,
I had a moment.
"Why
Like,
did I
this
make
is-
thirst
this is-
traps?
This is not
I
what I
thought
meant
I
to
was
do."
just drawing cool tattoos."
I will say, there is one specific circumstance where I specifically was like, this character needs to be hot, and that was when I made Porky. And the sole reason for that is because, why can't I remember?
Because you like pig
What's his
people?
name? What's the MC's name
The MC?
of rebalancing?
Oh, Tyler Clausen.
Yeah, Tyler. Because Tyler, like, was like, here are all the Eldritch, like, when you think of Eldritch gods and, like, all these really cool Eldritch gods, and then when, like, Pat makes an Eldritch god, and it was the pig version of the parents from Spirited Away, and I was like, you are not allowed to insult Porky like this. You can't have this be a thing. No, exactly, Jamie. You can't have this be this slander of my man Porky's name with this imagery. And so it was like, okay, I have been called into action. That he now has to be a hot boar man, and thus that was the only time that I'm specifically like, has to happen. Otherwise, everything else is just accidental. It is.
I mean, I feel like accidental
Beautiful.
sexy is the best sexy. If I'm being honest.
This is the problem.
Why is that a
I'm
problem?
dying. Because we were just talking about how, like, so the character Milano is very much like completely oblivious that he is very incredibly flirtatious, right?
Mhm.
And that's just like my
Like,
life
he's
and Dylan's life,
hanging and being
lived
playful.
experience, right? That it's like,
Honestly,
Are you?
I
Wait,
kind of feel
Can I-
that too, to be honest.
All right, I'm gonna ask. Okay, let's listen. If this is the conversation you don't want to go down, but I'm a man that asks questions. I'm an investigative reporter. You all
I
know
see.
this
That's
about me.
fair.
Chat, you know
You
what's
g-
up.
you gonna be a
PCM
muckraker?
underscore
Go
underscore.
for
You know
it.
what I'm talking about. Are you saying that you and Dylan, and also you, Mars, are all people that are very unintentionally flirtatious? Is that what you just said?
my experience is yes.
My experience is also yes, where my actions have been misinterpreted as, "Oh, are you flirting with me?" I'm like, "No, I'm
Multiple
just being
occasions.
friendly."
All right, and you can speak for Dylan, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and Dylan is also this way.
Yes, so on multiple occasions while we've been together, he has had multiple like women that he has been like friends with that like are like, oh, like we need to break them up because I got the hots for Dylan, and he's just like, I was just being a pal. Like why do they think all of this
Man,
stuff?
that is okay. So here's what I'll say about that. I feel like I am almost actively flirtatious
Mm-hmm.
in a way that almost makes people be. It almost makes you know that I'm not actually being flirtatious. Does that make sense? Like I'm almost like
over the top.
like I like saying
Like it's
saying flirtatious things to my friends because
Mhm.
it's fun. But I think
Yeah.
that I do it so specifically in a way that people aren't like, this guy's flirting with me.
It's
They're
like
more just
overt.
oh, Cinder, you're fucking weirdo. But I'm gonna stand by what I said. I don't think unintentional flirting is the same as unintentional sexy, because I feel like that unintentional flirting is a miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
Unintentional sexy is just something that somebody appreciates about somebody else. And the only time that unintentional sexy is bad, which admittedly is most of the time, is when the person who is noticing the unintentional sexiness reacts to it in a way that is inappropriate. But if I am sitting on a bus and there is somebody across from me and they are so unintentionally sexy, and I think to myself, that's a very unintentionally sexy person. Nice. And that is all that happens. That's a
Move
wonderful
on.
moment.
That's
a
fine.
wonderful moment.
Just don't act on it.
That's one of the best moments. But it's very easy to turn that moment into hey baby, hey. And you gotta, if you do that.
Oh my God, you sound like Beetlejuice for a second.
He
Listen,
did. Oh, you did.
I was going for Mr. Big Head, but that's okay. I'll take Beetlejuice.
I do
The
not know
Beetlejuice
who
vibe
that
is very good though. Very
He's
strong.
Rocco's next door neighbor from Rocco's Modern Life. He's a creepy guy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think unintentional flirting and unintentional sexy are different, because unintentional flirting is more sad. Not because anyone's like, you're sad, but it's like, it's a bummer. It just leads to unfortunate moments.
It's like, I just wanted to be your
somebody
friend.
being disappointed
Well,
and
it's like,
somebody being
I'm just
upset.
trying to be a friend
Yeah,
with you,
exactly.
and here
Like-
you are being weird about it. No,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. It's
I
good-
see the
and-
difference.
Yeah. I don't know if I've I don't know if I've ever been in a situation where I've been where somebody interpreted me as flirtatious. A lot of people interpret me as gay. That's the bigger one. Most people are
Interesting.
very surprised when I hear, especially online, people are surprised when they hear that I'm straight.
Interesting.
But I don't think anyone has unintentionally thought I was flirting with them. I've had a handful of people be like, wait a minute,
It's so good, Jamie.
you're straight? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, look, are you disappointed in me? Come on now.
That's so funny. I did not get those vibes. I did not get those vibes at all.
I think I present a very comfortable form of masculine, which some people read as feminine in
I
a way
see.
that comes off as somebody that is gay because they're too confident in their whateverness.
I find that's like, especially with guys who are like, quote unquote, in touch with their feminine side, like they often get labeled as
when you
gay.
get comfortable,
like,
right? Yeah.
Why? Oh, you're being so emotionally vulnerable. You must be gay. Like, really? Come on.
I also think it's because I talk very similarly to women as I do to men.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I'll do like Like everybody's a cutie. You know what I mean? Everybody's like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? In a way that some people might just be like,
It's kind of like word usage that you see more with females typically. It's interesting.
Yeah. Hoes, I think they prefer to be called. Hoes.
Oh goodness.
It's the appropriate nomenclature.
Accurate terminology.
Very much
Not what I
so.
wanna do. Let me do
The,
what
the
I
best
want.
way to make it so somebody doesn't think you're unintentionally flirting with them is for there to be a pandemic
Oh.
where you become isolated and don't leave your house and only
literally
talk to
no.
people on the internet
Literally
for
said
3 years.
I was about to say one of my actual hacks, like my trick for avoiding unwanted relationship or interaction, especially with this like of the opposite sex, and you're like, no, I don't want to convey that.
The pandemic.
Well, that helps too. Act like a dude. Just act like
No,
hey,
that
I
doesn't
wanna be-
work. That does not.
I
That does
leaned
not
into
work.
that so hard in high school and then a little bit in college as well, because I was just like, please just see me as a friend.
Do you know
One
the
of the
irony
guys-
of that?
It
Just
does
see me
not
as a
work.
friend,
I
please.
did not get that liberty
Oh.
at all.
You know the irony of that?
So
Here's the
hard.
First of all, you are both correct in that it does work and it doesn't work.
Oh, bye bye,
Here's-
CCM.
Good
Bye,
night, you're
PCM.
wonderful.
Have a good
Here's-
one. Take
here's
care of
the-
Neffy.
Neffy, I hardly know.
Not in that way.
Oh my god.
Here's the difference. Here's the irony.
That is true, Jamie.
Because I think that when you give subtle hints like that, I think the people that pick up on those hints are often the same that pick up on them and also respect them are the same people that you probably don't actually need to use those hints with.
Probably.
Like the people
and that's
that are
the problem.
that's what I mean. Like the people that don't get it
It's
are
like,
the people that
you
need
could
to
try your damnedest. You could wear a collared shirt with a sweatshirt on top, throw your hair in a messy bun. It's just like, okay,
I mean,
yeah, I
that's,
was
you know.
one of the dudes. Let's throw on workers' boots. Perfect.
I mean, you are definitely
Didn't
describing
work.
somebody's ideal fantasy
No,
outfit,
I wear
but
men's
I see what
Sadly.
shirts. I wear men's shirts because I very much enjoy them. I wear
Wait a minute,
men's
I wear men's
shirts.
shirts.
Yeah, I know, right? Same. We both have pink
Boys'
hair. Look at this. We're getting too similar. I wear men's shirts. Those are like Dylan's favorite shirts on me, and it's just like, okay.
To be
It
wait a
doesn't
minute,
work.
wait a minute.
You
Those are
make
Dylan's
it
favorite
work.
shirts on me too.
Yeah, there you go.
What is going? We have
It's
to
the banana
confirm
shirt. You got the banana shirt. It's green with bananas on it. I also got one with
I
like
don't-
oranges and lemons. I like fruit Hawaiian shirts.
So you got like citrus-oriented
Yeah,
Hawaiian shirts.
I
Bananas
do.
aren't citrus though, so that
No.
doesn't work.
Yellow fruit oriented. I want a watermelon one if I'm being honest, but
Bye,
No,
Bart.
Good night,
Thank
Bart.
you for joining us.
bye, Bart Starter. Yeah, it is definitely later.
Bart.
I'm not that person, Jamie. For a very long time, Dylan was much larger size than me. Now, honestly, we are almost the exact same size, and he could probably fit in some of my shirts better than I can fit in some of my shirts, and the women's shirts as well, just because buttons suck. But
You guys been doing like pressure stabilization?
precious. No. The
Sort
only
of like
thing.
meeting in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that I have of Dylan's is a sweatshirt, but it's a sweatshirt that he could never fit into, so it was always too small for him. But
Dude, that's
yeah,
so funny. Can I tell you something?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a story from a while ago.
Go for it.
So, in one of my past romantic relationships with a wonderful woman, all of my ex relationships are wonderful women. Wonderful women. They're fantastic people, smarter and better than me in most ways. But one of them in particular, she did this thing, and I know she did it on purpose, and it made me laugh so hard. And I love that I really like that she did this, but it's gonna sound like I don't, but I did. She intentionally bought me a shirt that was too small on me so that it could be like a shirt that she would wear in my house. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the kind of thing where she was like, it's gonna be a little bit too small for him probably. And if it is, I'll just wear it. Like that was definitely her mindset going in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good
like,
move. It was
I'm buying it for him, but it's also for me.
Well, the other side of that is when it becomes my shirt. When somebody gets me a shirt, I don't care if it's too small. I'm gonna wear it at least once. So, if, then you get to play the fun game where you wear a shirt that's way too small and like dance around. That's a great game. You got like, I'm gonna stretch it.
You get
out.
to feel like you're on Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars in the 80s though. All what's it called? What's when
Oh, the crop top.
Yeah, men in a male crop top.
I
That's
see.
the look.
So too short.
And I've got a great belly button, so it's really good to show it off.
I just have like non-standard proportions for modern fashion, and it just does not work out.
Do you have like an extreme sideways belly button or something?
Yeah, that's it. I have like 4 of them, right? And they're like in different places. So
well, that's
it's
something
hard
to maybe
because
check in with
like
someone
you don't
about.
want the belt line to be on the belly buttons, right? Like you want it to be like over or under, so it's very difficult.
I like mine to be under because I like to keep a finger in my belly button.
I see. See, now you can occupy 4 fingers with my anatomy issue apparently.
Well, you're better than me, and I can't help. I can't help.
I'm just the better specimen here. Come on.
Yeah.
4 belly buttons are better than 1.
We are not arguing.
Jamie asks Cinder, outie or innie?
Oh my god, so innie that I could hide things. In it.
That's a way to describe it.
Yeah. It has depth, Jamie. Real depth.
Like Cinder.
This is like this group's version of the like ogres are like onions, they have layers, right? Like
really is.
Our story is like Cinder, it has depth. Cinder is like a belly button. He has depth.
Oh god.
Yeah, depth and occasionally a weird smell.
Oh god.
I can't say our comic has that until smell-o-vision becomes a thing. I don't think our comic will ever have that.
It would be a weird smell. It would be like an ocean
No, you'd get a very
breeze.
oceany, beachy smell.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'd smell Aster's food by the campfire as he's cooking. You'd know what a sunroot smells like, guys.
Okay. Are you guys in the part of, because you're Long Island, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are you guys okay? So same woman that bought me the shirt that kept for herself. She lived on Long Island in a place called Mastic Beach. Which I think is like really far up the island. I don't know. It's
we're not near there.
Yeah.
I know we're not near there.
Small town. So I went up there for I got. Listen, I don't know if I told you guys, if anybody knows, but I'm one of those Jews. Have you heard of those?
I think so. I think it rings
We're
a
okay.
bell.
We've been very popular in the media lately.
Oh, that's
but,
South Shore. I see.
But
we're very different from Mastic Beach.
Okay.
Or you need a geography lesson.
I had to make sure I knew where it was.
So anyway, so I used to go to Mastic Beach for Christmas when we were together.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of Long Island the tongue of Long Island that she lived on, whenever you were outside, even though she didn't like live on the beach, it kind of smelled like the beach all the time. Is the part that you live have a smell like that, or are you too much more inland?
So the area where we reside in our homes does not have that smell. However, we are very, very close, like 5-minute drive, to the beach that will have horrendous low tide smell because it's notable for like clamming and oysters and stuff. So we have absolutely horrible low tide smell, like
classic maritime smell.
The bad low tide smell.
I gotta be honest though, I don't hate it.
Some days it's worse than others. In the summer, when it's super low, I like can't be there. Like I can't be there. But in the winter, it's like okay, it just gets me because it's very different than like beach smell. Because so the difference, Cinder, is that we're on the North Shore.
Who's watching you on YouTube right now?
Dorky David guy.
Dorky, what's up, cowboy?
Yeah. He's giving us some viewership over there.
Yeah, giving them watch time hours.
What a genteel man.
But so we live on the North Shore of Long Island, and the North Shore, because of the way that the glacier works, is not really beach, it's rocks. Okay? So we don't have sand unless it was imported and dug out from elsewhere and brought to the beach, which is very rare. So
and sad.
But because of that, and because we're in the sound and not the ocean, it smells different. Right. So it definitely has much more of that like sea life smell than it has like ocean smell, versus when you go to the South Shore, you know, it's sand beaches because glacial, you know, sifting and all that sort of stuff, and it is the actual ocean, right? It's not the sort of sound, you know, inner area. So it does indeed sound, it does smell very different because of that. So it is like an interesting sort of like a weird thing. But we do live very close, but not close enough where we're smelling it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're definitely not like fall out of our back door, end up in the sound type.
Yeah. But we're like 5 minutes from like multiple marinas.
Okay. Extreme bolt guy. You still in here? You son of a gun?
I believe he is.
Atamet Tavrit? Cover?
Exactly, Turkey David. Fishy and not fishy.
Atamet Tavrit? Extreme bolt guy? Ma kore, Javer?
Oh no, they're speaking in code. They're talking about us behind our backs.
Shalom, Chaverim. It's a little bit loud. All right, this is a joke. This is a joke that only Extreme Bolt Guy will get.
So sad.
Okay, here, Extreme Bolt Guy. Check this out. Have you been to Israel in the past like 10 years? If so, you'll get this joke. If not, you might not. Bruchim habayim, tachana haba'a, lefa mifratz. Pretty fucking good, right? It's the best Israeli accent you'll ever hear. That is what the train. That is the train in Israel. That's the voice. Bruchim habayim, tachana haba'a, selkom shalom. That sentence didn't make any sense, but that was my favorite thing. Leva Mifratz. That was my favorite stop to go past when I lived in Extreme Bulk. I was not born in the East, but I lived there for a while. I lived in Akko, I lived in Haifa, and I lived on Kibbutz Nativ Lamed Hey, which is like in the desert between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem.
Ooh.
And kind of shitty. But I lived in those places.
That's pretty cool.
Ken. That's Hebrew for yes. I do not speak Hebrew.
That much I could put together.
I speak enough Hebrew to make people think that. I speak enough Hebrew that people that speak Hebrew know I don't speak Hebrew if they listen to me talk for more than 3 seconds, and people that don't speak Hebrew are pretty sure I speak fluent Hebrew.
This is kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about like dialects and stuff, and we're like, essentially, if you're not a native speaker of a language, almost no matter what, you'll always have some sort of accent and dialect that makes the native speakers know that you are non-native. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it is a spoder. It's a mimic spoder, in the sense of that it mimics how a bumblebee looks. What was I gonna say? Oh, Cinder's gone.
Oh,
Bye, Cinder.
Bye.
Okay.
I didn't even get to say goodbye.
He just left. He just dipped. He just dipped in. He dipped out. Okay.
He came. He saw.
He
spoke,
went.
He dipped.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
What happened? I lost you.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. You left us.
You left us indeed.
What happened?
You left.
Left us.
But I didn't do it on purpose. I thought I was in the middle of telling like a joke story, and then I finished it, and then you guys were just sitting in silence.
No, you just were here.
You just ran.
We're not here.
Listen. I would
Listen,
both of you come close to the cameras. Bring your.
Imagine I am closer.
Yeah, lean right up to the screen. Let it be unsafe to the eyes for a second. Come here.
That's a myth, I believe.
I would never leave you without saying goodbye, ever. Okay.
All right.
Well, that's not
believe
true.
you.
But I would make it a moment. I would certainly. I would for comedic
It wouldn't
effect,
just be
not
gone.
randomly. No. Maybe the last time I say goodbye, it'll be like that, where I'm just gone. because that'll be kind of poetic. But this wasn't the last. This won't be the last. You got at least 3 more times.
Well, you know,
okay.
you gotta at least add a mic drop to that final goodbye. That
Do you?
way, 1, we know, and 2, it's badass.
But badass, what is badass? Is badass creating a cinematic moment that people
That's what
can
I
look
thought,
back and
Jamie.
be like, whoa? Or is badass leaving everybody wondering for the rest of time?
Why not both?
Fine. That's hard to do, Mari.
It's demanding, but I believe you can pull it off. You're just that talented.
I feel like there is some amount of making fun of me in the sentence you just said, but I
Not
can't
at
tell
all.
if you're being genuine or not, so I'm gonna take it as a compliment.
Go for it.
That sounded sarcastic. too.
Cindermatic moment. Yes.
No, yeah, that's one of the things you have to learn about Mars. Is there's
What?
definitely like much thicker sarcasm when it's sarcastic. The sarcasm drips out of her voice if she's
Okay,
being
okay.
sarcastic.
I'm
still
sorry.
getting to
Are
know
we
y'all.
talking about me?
Yes. Because Cinder thought right now that you were being sarcastic with your
no,
your
no.
exclamations of
I can
enjoyment
be
and encouragement.
Sarcastic as hell. And
Well-
when I am, you will know.
There's 2 kinds of people. Well, okay, no. There's 3 kinds of people, Cinder. The first
Tall
kind of
people
person.
and short people.
What's the third kind?
Represent.
The third kind, people in poverty.
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. No. So that's what I was gonna say. There's 3 kinds of people. There's people who sound normal normally and sarcastic when they're being sarcastic. Then there's people who sound sarcastic kind of all the time and then drip with sarcasm when they sound
Do
sarcastic.
I sound sarcastic all the time?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, like right now.
Not all the time.
Really?
It's some of the time.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think it's more
It's-
playful, but okay, sure. Why not?
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I'm not trying to come at you, Mars. I don't think there's a
I think I'm
problem
the
with it.
opposite.
I just don't want
Well-
people thinking I'm mean.
Also, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where I don't think you would use this voice with people who wouldn't know. You know, like, does that make sense? Right?
I can
like,
see that.
like you, like your customer service voice, or like your outside, stranger voice would definitely not be the same. But like, I don't think anybody that interacts with you on like a personal basis would be like, oh, Mars is being mean right now. It's one of those things where you get to know it. Dylan is the opposite. Where Dylan's almost constantly joking, like as a human. So when he's serious, you cannot tell. I can't tell. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
No. Great example. We were listening to a song on the radio, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But I can't remember what it was. But we're listening to a song on the radio, and Dylan keeps saying these lyrics that are definitely not the lyrics of the song, right? And they're not.
I love him so much. I
know-
don't care where this story is going, but I'm so excited. Take it.
So this is something that he would do, right? This is a Dylan thing that he would purposefully make up weird lyrics to songs, like we do it all the time, right? Like, this is a Dylan thing. But I'm not getting the joke, right? Like I don't understand why this is supposed to be funny, these specific lyrics that he's picking out. And because they're like really close approximations. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, I don't get it. And he's like, those are the lyrics. And I'm like, no, they're not. Do you really think those are the lyrics? He's like, no, those are really I'm like, those are not the lyrics. These are the lyrics. And he just sits there for a moment. He's driving the car and he just sits there and he's just like, oh. I had no idea that he was not making a joke and was completely serious about the fact that he thought that these were the real lyrics of the song, right? So it wasn't even that, like, extreme, though, right? Durkee David, it was just one word was different than, like, a few words. I'm trying to remember what the song was. But, it was just, like, it's just wild. Okay.
I think that I am sort of the opposite of Dylan. I think that I give off an air of sincerity often, and I'm often not being sincere, but I almost always speak with an air of sincerity.
I would say so.
I think you got both.
That's how it comes across in your streams, at the very least.
Yeah. People are pretty good at telling when I'm joking around now because they've put up with it a little bit.
I'm like really trying to figure out what this song is.
Oh no, we've given Ori a task.
I'm pretty sure it's a Rihanna song. It was an older song.
Umbrella?
Oh. No.
You want to hear? Do you want to hear a story about the Umbrella song?
Sure.
So when I went to camp growing up, also, extreme. I don't speak Hebrew well, but I speak a little. But when I went going to summer camp, every morning, when we would have our little like flag raising ceremony. Oh shit! You got a party coming in. You want to say hi to them first?
Is it Han?
Oh.
It's
we got
Hans
a raid?
Happel-
It is Hans
Happelman.
Happelman. Hello, welcome.
With
I saw you guys on tonight.
Hi to all
Hans is
of
another
you.
D&D streamer. He plays games. He does today is Unearth Your Arcana Day, where he goes on r/Unearth Arcana and looks at homebrew. Delport watches him.
Wow.
Delport's part of his sort of community, so thank you very much for the
Delport,
raid. Welcome,
hi.
guys. We got
Wait, I'm
Cinder
supposed
Black
to talk-
Sally here as
I'm
well.
supposed to talk to this guy.
Another anima? Oh,
What's up,
right.
Delport?
Yep.
Cool name. Hello, hello.
Hello,
Delport,
welcome,
tell
welcome.
Hans to be my friend.
Market Twilight, I remember you. Welcome back.
Hans, listen to me, you fuck. My name is Cinderblock Sally. I also look
Code
at
on
homebrew.
strong.
Let's be friends.
Yes, this is Cinder Black
listen to
Sally
Delport.
here. The other
Listen to Delport,
pink-haired
we're friends. We're gonna
avatar
be
here.
friends. I already
He's
follow
great.
you.
Deji A Tax, welcome. Alice the Amazing, welcome. Love the Pikachu icon, so cute.
All great, all great.
Oh, I already follow him. All right, there you go. So you guys want to hear my story about
You guys
Oh.
are just in time to hear Cinder's story.
I don't remember what it was gonna be. I forget.
Umbrella.
Oh,
the-
so I
the
wrote.
song
Okay, so the
thing?
camp that I grew up going to, we would have a flag raising ceremony every morning, and some of the counselors were put in charge of putting on like a little morning sketch play that would like introduce something from the day, and usually the gimmick of it was that you basically created like a scenario of characters, and every morning that little play was those same characters, and it was like a sketch comedy thing where you'd like make jokes about camp and stuff. Like it was just like for fun. And me and one of my best buddies at camp we did this sketch thing one year, and he went on to become a famous musician known by some as Zafoon Jones, and he's half of the band called Chitty Bang, which is a band that was popular at some point in time. But
Once upon a time.
we wrote a script. We wrote a show that was about a science fair where people broke a time machine and got like trapped traveling through time and space, and it was like a really nerdy kid and a really like obnoxious like dumb bully kid.
Mhm.
It was ridiculously fun, but the theme song was to the tune of Rihanna's Umbrella, and he and I wrote the song together. We wrote a bunch of songs. We wrote a lot of songs for that show. It was awesome. But I wrote what I think is one of the best lines ever written for any song ever in my rendition of that. So the plot, keep in mind, the plot of the show is that we are traveling through time and space trying to fix our time-barella, because it was an umbrella time machine.
Oh my god.
And it was space and time. So not only did we go to the past, but we went to like the past where everything was invisible. We went to like purple Harlem, which was like Harlem, but everything was purple. We went to Lord of the Rings. We went to green. We went to all sorts of weird stuff. But so the way that the song ended was from Stonehenge to Nelson Mandela, you can stand under my time-barella, Ella, and I. Rhyming Nelson Mandela with time-barella might be the best piece of writing that I've ever done in my life.
Proudest moment.
So,
All that
That's
reminds
That's
me of
incredible.
is Mars and I were in multiple Spanish classes together, and one of the ones we were in together, we had to do a project where we had to do our like our daily routine, right? And you could either do like a video, or you could do a PowerPoint presentation. And like, we're extra. We love the video stuff, honestly. Highlight
we're
of
extras,
school. I mean, look at us here now,
also,
right?
welcome Zelda and David the Dork Muncher. Welcome to you both.
I think David the Dork Muncher is also Dorky David, I believe. Unless everybody just has a very similar names. But so we picked a song that was called "Good Morning Sunshine" by a YouTube guy who it is Dorky David.
Okay.
Had since been canceled.
Story.
But he it was called "Good Morning Sunshine," and so we did a parody of that song in Spanish about our morning routine. So it starts like "Me despierto en el jardín, me levanto y me inspiro," and it has like
and it goes on for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a whole song. It's hilarious. Honestly, very proud of writing the lyrics to that one.
The video.
Yeah. We showed it. Okay, so we showed it to Dylan. Again, we're in like, what is that, like 9th or 10th grade?
I think that was 10th grade.
Okay. So we're in like 10th grade, and it's a whole thing, Jamie. And we showed it to Dylan and the rest of our RPG table. And there's a moment where, so we have mustaches. So there's a whole part where we shave, right? So it's like, that's part of the morning routine, is that we shave. So we're clean shaven the whole time. Then we suddenly have the fake mustaches on, and it's like,
and we're making yuck faces.
No me gusta, bigote, or something like that. And we're like making yucks. Yeah. And so Dylan took, it's like I think it was captioned or something, and
it was captioned.
So it was all captioned.
Our class could follow along.
And there's like a close up of my face with the mustache on, making this like angry, like upset face because we don't like the mustaches, and it just says bigote on it, which is bigote, so it looks like bigot. And Dylan has a screenshot of that now that is just like a meme that he enjoys to use
for our group,
just being like bigote. It's so funny.
My other favorite part of that video, I was the one in charge of editing it, because I've also done some YouTube videos in the past, so I had a lot of experience editing AMVs and things, so I took on the task of this as well. There's one part where we're like, oh, I returned to my house at the end of the day, and I'm happy about that. And as I'm going through the footage, trying to cobble it all together, I realized I forgot to record Ori, because she was the subject for that particular scene. I forgot to record her being happy about being home. So, in a desperation move, I clipped the video and took a screenshot of it, photoshopped a happy face. Like a cartoon happy.
We're talking like 2010s level like editing right here.
2010 MS Paint levels of Photoshop. It wasn't even a transparent background. It had the white bit and everything.
It did.
Dude, that's the best.
It's just pasted over her face, and in captions it just says "Estoy feliz."
It was so good.
Yes. The epitome of editing.
It was so good.
That I could actually share, because Ori, your face is very well hidden.
Yeah, it is.
I could technically share it.
Are you guys? Wait a minute. Are you guys actively existing solely as cartoon characters on this channel?
On this particular channel, yes.
Yeah. So it's like I as some know, I showed my face on Cinder Stream, but it's not like we're not like trying to be faceless on the entire internet. I have videos planned to come out for my tree thing that I am fully me in them, because life is just easier that way. So
Or he doesn't want to draw 1,000 avatars.
I
That's
tried,
fair.
and while I drew them, it was more like the editing them every time to like put them in the video. That was kind of like I want to die. So I went, screw it, who cares? I'm just gonna rearrange my whole house to make these videos, and that's my life now. However,
when do those come out? When do I get to watch those?
Probably on Earth Day or Arbor Day, which is in April.
Okay,
So a while. Yeah, right now the comic is the big thing. January 30th, Cinder.
Soon. That's so
Crazy.
fucking soon, guys.
I know. Bless you.
Can I tell you? Can I
you.
tell you something?
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember you talking about this comic 6+ months ago, like spring of last year, and sort of like talking about it coming out as almost like almost in the tone of talking about like a pipe dream, like it was like a so far off it's not real.
Very much so.
So it's cool. It's just cool. It's cool to see it climbing in.
It's wild.
Mars, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you upset that both Ori and I have some very nice little spikies sticking off of our hair, and you don't have spikies? You have knitting needles or hair spikes. You don't get little flare spikes though. You know what I'm talking about? You see?
Oh no,
Little hair antenna.
I'm okay with not having the anime antenna.
Okay. You sure?
Ori was very kind, very generous in creating this avatar for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't give her the most specific instruction because I was at work at the time. So I'm like trying to convey to her how I'm imagining this character while also delivering drive-up orders. Not the most ideal circumstance, but I am very happy with this character, and I honestly really like the knitting needles.
I love them. I just wasn't sure if you were upset that you didn't have 2 little anime spikes.
Technically, I do. If you look at the center of my forehead, they're just drooping down.
My God.
They're still there. They just don't defy
Jason
gravity.
Bourne.
I didn't. You blow my mind right now.
Boosh.
Just careful. I got to keep that in. My insurance hasn't kicked in yet.
Oh no. Well, Jamie, he had to. Milano's standing right there.
He's sneaking. Look at him. He's
he can't
sneaking.
afford to scream.
He's looking at Milano from the bushes. He doesn't know who this guy is yet. The big scary dude. And then, oh no, if he screams, he's giving him away. Exactly, hiding in plain sight.
Wait, Cinder, do you want me to send you the screenshot?
You can send it to me and I'll put it up.
Send me whatever you want. I'll take a look.
It's not the greatest snip. Unfortunately, I do have the timestamp and everything in the way, but
that's okay. I prefer
life
timestamp.
C'est la vie
I like a good timestamp.
All right, so there you go, Ori.
I'm in pajamas. I forgot I was in pajamas.
Well,
Where
because we had to put on our pajamas to go to work. Basically, Cinder, what happened for this project?
This is amazing.
What happened for this
You
project
underplayed how
is
amazing this is.
We asked our professor, does our morning routine have to be serious? And she said, oh no, you can do whatever you want. So we literally had, like, we eat steak for breakfast. We wear monkey slippers as we walk around the house. We sleep in the garden. We go to work, but I want to go home. Well, actually, that's realistic.
No.
This is the epitome of my editing in high school.
We wake up in the yard, right? So I was sleeping in the front yard. We wake up in the front yard. We go inside. We do our routine where we have, like, monkey slippers and
eat steak for breakfast, brush our teeth, shave our mustaches because we don't
that
like
suddenly
our
just grow like magically. Then we miss the bus, which is just my mother's car.
So funny. We had her mom drive her car down the street, and we taped the word bus
on a piece of paper to the back of it.
Filmed that and had me run down the street chasing it.
Man.
In pajamas.
It's gorgeous.
With a
That sounds
backpack
like so much fun.
in front of all of Ori's neighbors.
And then
oh my God, guys,
and then
you are too fun.
and then we we're at work. We want to go home. We fall asleep at the computer, and there's
I fell asleep at the computer.
And
I was actually very proud of that. We timed me typing "I want to go home" to the timing of us actually singing it.
And then it ends where I'm pretty sure you push Z a ton of
Amy, we
times
go
when you go to sleep.
Oh,
no,
I
no, no.
fell asleep on the keyboard and it just goes like keyboard
Z
smash.
with the Z, I think is what it was, because you were asleep. And then
I think so.
And then we come home and we're very happy to be home, but we're so tired that we just fall asleep in the front yard. And that's how the cycle starts over again.
About it. Which is why there's a happy
that's
face.
What the happy face.
Plastered over Ori.
Alright, I'm gonna send this fucking guy a call.
Oh, Dorky David, it wasn't the school with the video editing software, it was me.
Yeah.
I used to use VideoPad Video Editor.
Which was free once upon a time.
It was free once upon a time, and then it was suddenly not free. And I was very sad because that was the end of my very short-lived AMV career.
A lot of my early video editing was freaking Windows Movie Maker. That's all our school had was Windows Movie
talk
Maker,
about plastic.
which was free again. I had a teacher in middle school that like loved to do that, and he would always make like videos at the end of the year of the class to the song Freeze Frame. And that was like his big thing, and that was so funny.
I have the same teacher as you? I feel like I remember that.
I don't think you had the same teacher, but that was like his thing. Like he did the whole school. Like it was everybody.
Oh, okay, that's why I recall that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that makes a ton of sense.
My other favorite project, Jamie, that I did in Spanish class was unfortunately not with Mars because she was not in my Spanish class that year. But we had we had read a short story about a farmer whose crops got killed by hail, and then he sent away money to he sent away a letter to God in order to like get money in order to plant his crops or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it turned out bad, if I remember correctly, where all of the money that then got sent to the post office got stolen by the boss of the post office, and then it was a bad ending. That's what I remember it being. We had an option where you could do extra credit, where you made a new ending to that story. And so I made it with my two friends, and we made a video, because, come on, if you're not going to make videos for school, what are you doing?
Come on, hard and ham.
Exactly.
That is the philosophy of life.
Ham.
Hard and ham.
So we did that, and my two favorite parts of that was, so we had to make it hail, right? You had to pretend that it hailed. So we were all sitting at my dining room table, and we were eating, right? And then it cuts to like a noise, and it's me, I think it's me throwing ice at the side of, like, literal ice cubes at the side of my house in order to make it seem like it's hailing, like the noise of hail. And then we had my one of my friends dress up in all green with like these like green tissue paper things pretending to be stalks of corn in the wind, and then we gently threw ice at her to pretend that she was getting hailed on until she quote unquote died. Because that was part of the thing. This same person, who was the smallest of us by a lot, I think Mars, I think he's your height. Small person.
He's close. If it's the one I think you're talking about,
it is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We were
So
very
very
close in height.
We've talked about this before.
We have
How
talked
tall
about
are
this
you?
5'2".
So
Five
very
what?
short. 2.
5'2". I'm kind of tiny.
So very short.
Alright.
But we had
I'm
him
kinda short,
wear
too.
my father's shirt, right? So my dad's a big guy, and wear my father's shirt, and we shoved like massive square couch pillows into both sides of the shirt because he had to be the jefe, right? El jefe, the boss, and we had to make him this like big guy. So we're talking about the smallest person in existence with the skinniest freaking legs, like size 000, like pants, right? With this massive square body and these skinny little arms. And we went outside in public to the library because we needed like a flagpole to be like preaching to the townspeople. and it's just like it was so funny. It was like a caricature of a person. It was literally a cube made out of pillows, and
That
then
is
like a
wonderful.
small person's legs.
I love it.
Ori, I might need to see clips of this.
I don't think it exists
This is glorious.
anymore. I don't think it exists
no.
anymore. It was on YouTube, but I don't think I think it's gone. Sadly, because it wasn't. I didn't edit it. I didn't have it, so it wasn't mine. But it was so funny, and that one got me real hard. I'll also admit to this because I doubt that any of you can find it, but that would be impressive. Is that with one of those people, the person who played the boss, and my other friend, we had a YouTube channel in like middle school, I think it was, and yeah.
Whales.
Oh, okay. Now I have to go.
I remember it.
No, you ruined it.
I did. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now I have to go deactivate.
I did. We were talking about it. I didn't know you were keeping it secret.
But it's the cringy shit. No. All right. Well, with that, guys, I guess we're gonna hang off while I go deactivate certain YouTube accounts. Well, this will let me, please.
My bad.
Mars, you ruined it. I was gonna have it exist on the internet.
I didn't know. You don't have to deactivate it. You could just make videos private.
Well, okay, I have to go do that.
Or you could just repost them so everyone sees them forever.
No.
All right, your call.
Jamie, I said nothing.
I still remember the password. No, not now. Stop. What is this? Stop.
The most embarrassing thing of mine that is on the internet is I was in a band in high school, and our MySpace is... I don't know if our MySpace is still up, but our music is very easily accessible online if you know what to look up. And it is so embarrassing to listen to. And I will never tell you how to find it.
Damn.
I didn't want to,
look it
you
up.
know, but no.
I might tell you later how to find it.
Ooh. I guess that's like level 7 of the friendship. Like once we unlock level 7, then we get access.
Exactly.
That might be levels. Let me think about what level that is. What level? Okay, can I ask you, what level are we at now, in your opinion? One being, okay, there is no negative. There's not a hate level. Okay,
Oh,
no
negative here.
one is like stranger, like just a random person that maybe kind of is unappealing on the street. What level are we at right now? It's got to be lower than 7 because you just said
It's probably gonna be it's gonna come off as like indecisive as hell, but I'm gonna put it at like a comfortable 5, like at that halfway point, because we're getting there.
Okay. So close enough that when I arrive, it is a nice thing, but also distant enough that if I was to fall off the face of the earth, it wouldn't matter that much.
Well, I would still be concerned. All right, if that's the logic you're going by, make it a 6.
All right, I'll take a 6. I'll take a 5. I'll take a 5. It's nice to know I can just disappear.
That's not the logic I was operating on.
All right. I don't know what level we're at yet.
I would call that because that's still an acquaintance level. Like if you're still like if you still want to see someone, but it's like if you don't care if they disappear, like that's a 2 or a 3, maybe.
Let me rephrase that.
Ori, help me here.
Let me rephrase that. Disappearing sounds like a violence or darkness is happening.
Disappearing sounds like you got either kidnapped or magicked off the
not
planet.
Not disappearing, but like losing contact and don't talk for like a month or 2 or longer. I have lots of people like that. I think that there is. I think that for the means of interaction that we have, which is mostly on the internet, is entirely on the internet. I think we're pretty high on that. Like if there's internet and then there's holistic, right? On the internet, I think we are past 7. We're at 7. We're strong 7. We're not past 7. We're strong 7 on the internet. But I think that
strong 7.
Because we haven't met as people, I don't. Maybe this is because I'm very, very, very old But there is an element of meeting a person in person that helps manifest them as like a person in my soul a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like you get to know them that way.
Mostly it's
As,
so
like,
that I
not
can
just their
tell
internet
how much
avatars.
taller I am than them or they are than me. And I don't
The
have to do
true
math. I
measure
can just
of
gotta
friendship.
look.
How
Yeah,
tall are
yeah.
you?
I'm expecting, first of all, this is what I'm expecting, that I am going to be perfectly in the middle. Maybe not in the middle exactly, but in a I'm going to be a little bit shorter than Ori, I think. And I'm going to be I'm going to be medium taller than you, but it's going to be, we can play that Russian doll game.
You know, I think it'll balance perfectly because then we have like ascending height order and descending height
How
order,
tall is
and
Dylan?
it works both ways.
Ori, is Dylan taller than you?
Yeah, slightly.
Perfect. So, all right. So so we're gonna turn into Russian. We'll do a Russian nesting doll game. We need to get a bunch of big sweaters, or get very violent. One of the two.
I mean, depends which one is more fun.
I don't
Cinder,
know.
how tall
I
are
hate
you?
violence in real life, so
Jamie
sweaters.
wants to know.
Jamie,
I feel like Jamie's keeping a list.
First of all, the only reason why Jamie wants to know how tall I am is because they can't imagine someone who is as dominating in all senses of being an apex masculine predator as me could be short. But you forget Wolverine, who is one of the most powerful men in the world, who is like 5'1", I think, 5 foot tall. No, I am a solid 5'7". That is where I am. So I am deeply average in height, but I regularly am in a situation where people tell me that I'm taller than I am. And I think it's because they don't want to be shorter than 5'7". So what I think that happens a lot is always with guys is someone will ask me how tall I am. I'll say I'm 5'7". And they'll say, no, you're not. You got to be at least 5'8", because you're taller than me and I'm 5'7". And then what I usually say is like, huh. But what I think is, you're 5'6", and you don't want to tell anybody you're 5'6".
They're 5'6", and they're in denial.
Yeah. And that's a great river, depending on if you're north or south of Cairo, but it's not the best place to be for height.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, no, I'm 5'7". And if I'm wearing my sexy shoes, I'm 5'8".
See, the sexy shoes just give that perfect bit of extra height.
Yeah. They got a good heel to them.
I think
You want to be shorter, Jamie? That's interesting. I can't say I've heard that one
The
too
only
often.
people that want to be short... Why do you want to be shorter? I feel like I would only want to be shorter if I was extremely tall.
Yeah, I feel like
I
some
would only want
benefits
one
of
half
being
to be
shorter is... Like, I mean, you could definitely fit in a lot more places.
Easier to get
More
clothes.
hidey
Everything
holes
is cheaper.
are
Beds
available
cheap,
to you.
Everything's cheaper. You're comfortable much more of the time.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, if you've been finding cheap, small clothes, please let me know. I'd love to
I used to do
know
most of
where
my
those
shopping.
are located.
I used to do most of my shopping at the American Girl store.
Oh,
Girl.
Very nice.
Ooh, speaking of, I just got some new cosplay pants to cosplay Hotsun and Milano as part of our 30-day countdown to launch.
That's cool.
Very
Like,
excited.
that's very. Are you guys? That's okay. I'm excited. Y'all gonna be costumed up? You gonna get weird feet?
Not getting weird feet. Basically what I specialize in closet cosplay, which is basically taking either what you got or thrifting what you can to put together a character outfit. So I'm trying to find pieces that match the character as closely as possible. And then I'm thinking of doing a reel on Instagram of just me in the cosplay. And I don't know if you've seen those pirate cosplays. They have a popular song that goes to it, but it's like as they jump on the beat, another bit of the costume is put on. And it's like as the beat continues, like they jump, they put another piece on, they jump, another piece comes on, and it's done through video cuts and video edits. And then by the end, they have the complete outfit on. So I thought that would be kind of fun to do. And it's also just a nice challenge. I haven't cosplayed since Halloween, so I need this.
I think that sounds like so much fun.
It's a very good time. I'm just happy the pants I ordered fit. And are surprisingly comfortable. Milano's pants feel great and fit great, which is awesome. I rarely ever find pants that fit. It's amazing. Never underestimate the power of thrifting.
Indeed.
That Norse blood is strong. Wow.
Well,
I just
I
saw
don't
the
think it
movie
worked.
Troll, which was about Norse people. It was so good.
Ori, what do I have to do to get you to forgive me?
Be lucky that it doesn't seem like anybody realized that I've already unpublished the VOD, so no one can find it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
can't
make you erase
believe
a
you.
piece of history.
I can't hide it. It won't let me.
This is revisionism.
It's
Ori,
too
sad.
cringe.
Was it?
Oh my god, yes.
I only remember seeing like one
Oh,
Let's Play video on
God.
there.
Yeah, the Let's Play is whatever. Who cares about the Let's Play? I'll freaking show the Mario compilation. I don't care, but the rest of it is the worst. Yes, yes,
You
Jamie,
thought
it
Wonder
can.
Song put Ori through a challenge? Super Mario gave her a run for her money.
Oh my god. But yes, it is very late. No, I'm glad that nobody heard it. Everybody was too busy thinking about it. Oh, I would much rather show all of the Spanish freaking class projects than this YouTube channel. By a lot. But yes.
The one I'm thinking of, Ori, is the one that you, Dylan, and Doug did.
Yeah,
with
that
the
one I love.
music, like,
I would show that one. I would show that one. I think that one's funny.
That music
I think
kills
I've
me
already
every time.
unpublished it, Extreme Ball Guy. You can't find it. Yeah, the Spanish projects are great. I will say that the frickin' YouTube videos are not great. I cringe at the video quality.
You know, there's
at the
something called
content decisions.
infancy as a creator.
We're not even talking.
People
at
in
least,
middle school are not good at
yeah,
it.
exactly. At very least, no. That's what I'm saying, Dorky David. I'm glad that nobody heard it. Thank God, because it won't let me hide it effectively. Apparently, that is very true. However, I'm more than happy to keep that section of my existence non-noticed, non-known. It's incredibly cringy. Not just me. I cringe for the other two people in the videos as well. Holy fuck. It is a rough time. But
That's true.
it is definitely late, being 1:30 a.m. So I think with this we will end stream. Thanks for hanging out, Cinder. Hope your stream went well.
Thanks.
It was
Thank
fine.
you for
Who cares? It
popping
doesn't matter.
on.
You guys are the best. It was fun.
Always a pleasure. Make
My
sure
screen-
that
We
my
just
stream was
love it
nothing
when you
but a
come
bunch
to
of
hang
fucking
with us.
scoundrels and succubuses, succubi and
oh,
scoundrels.
succubi. What about incubi? You know, gotta have diversity.
Tonight it was all succubi and scoundrels, no incubi at all.
Interesting.
Oh, well then.
All right. then.
Self-identifying, so you know. Lila Tov, Chaver.
All right, guys. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks again, Hans, for the raid. Hope your stream was well
thank
as
you
well.
So
Yeah,
much.
Hans,
Hope
I
yours
sent you a
was
bunch of
good.
DMs. We're gonna hang out.
Alrighty. Oh, I look forward to that. All right, guys.
We'll see you all
We'll see you
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
for Ace Attorney.
Exactly. Ace
Ooh.
Attorney tomorrow.
Mr. Kearney, that'll be good.
Oh,
Y'all
it's
better show
fun.
up.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
gonna be a
great.
good time.
More martial. all that
Yes.
stuff.
More
Indeed.
voice acting.
Yes, more voice acting, all of that good stuff, and more bingo, guys. More bingo, right?
Yes.
You need
So you want to
those
be
Dylan.
there.
You need those Dylan bingo things.
Plots.
You want to get in on this now. All right. That's the trick. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
Take care.